Melissa felt really sad after her grandma passed away. She missed her a lot. Her grandma used to say that everything would be okay and that she believed in Melissa. Those were some of the last things her grandma said before she died. Melissa and her grandma lived together since Melissa was born. She never knew her parents and didn't want to make her grandma sad by asking about them. Melissa thought maybe her parents left her because they had other things to do. Lots of people visited Melissa's grandma. Some were nice and some were not. Melissa would stay in her room when they came over because she didn't want to bother them. She knew her grandma was helping them with things. As Melissa got older, she started to understand more about the world. She realized it was different from what she thought before. Melissa thought her grandma knew a lot of things that others didn't, and as she grew up, she started to understand those things too. Sometimes it made her cry because it was scary. One day, Melissa was crying in her room again. Her grandma heard her and came in quietly to see if she was okay. Melissa said she was fine, so her grandma came in and asked what was wrong. Melissa told her grandma that she was scared. Her grandma gave her a hug and asked why she was scared. Melissa told her grandma everything. Her grandma hugged her tightly and said she was worried this might happen, that Melissa would inherit her gift. After her grandma passed away, Melissa didn't know what to do. She was only 15 and worried she would have to go to an orphanage and then to a foster home. Melissa didn't want that, so she decided to run away and hide somewhere far away. She didn't know why she made that decision, but she hoped it would work out somehow. Mr. Wesley Harris kissed his daughter on the forehead and promised to come home earlier. Chelsea sighed and told her dad it was okay for him to be at work a lot. She reassured him that she would be fine. Wesley suggested having a movie night to cheer her up. Chelsea agreed with her dad, saying she'd be okay and wanted to talk to him about something. "What is it, sweetheart?" Mr. Harris asked. Chelsea asked if they could try to find someone. "Are you sure, honey?" her father asked, concerned. Chelsea didn't want a caregiver who only did medical stuff and treated her like a kid. She wanted someone she could talk to. She didn't like the nurses from agencies because they felt fake and cold, like robots following rules. She wanted someone real. Wesley kissed his daughter again and promised to find a solution. As he went to work, he couldn't shake off how strange life had become. Just 5 years ago, he had a happy family, but now his wife had died in a car crash, and his daughter was seriously ill and bedridden. Despite spending a lot on her medicine, Chelsea's health was deteriorating, and the doctors weren't hopeful. At first, Chelsea's illness wasn't so scary. She got treatment and seemed like any other kid, but things took a turn for the worse. Chelsea started losing weight fast and became very weak. It had been a year, and she could barely leave her bed. Lately, she'd been in more pain, and it broke Wesley's heart to see her suffer. Despite doctors' prescriptions, the painkillers didn't seem to help much, and Chelsea was becoming resistant to stronger ones. When Wesley arrived at work, his driver asked if he could leave early because his wife was being discharged from the hospital. "Congratulations. Of course, go ahead. Let me know if you need anything," Wesley said. The driver thanked him and asked if he could take a day off tomorrow. "Sure, take it. By the way, is it a boy or a girl?" "It's a girl. We named her Melissa." Wesley smiled and complimented the name Melissa. He wished his driver congratulations again and headed to his office. Despite the bustling activity around him, life seemed dull and dreary at home. While others celebrated weddings and births, his family silently waited for what would come next. The hardest part for Wesley was staying strong and not crumbling under the weight of it all. He tried his best to support Chelsea and smiled as much as he could. Chelsea was smart and mature, handling her condition remarkably well. But it pained Wesley to see her confined to her bed, knowing there was little hope for improvement. His secretary interrupted his thoughts, asking him to sign some papers. "Andy, I need your help. I'm looking for someone to spend time with my daughter. Not from an agency, someone real." "That's tricky. Maybe someone her age or someone in need of a place to stay," Andy suggested. "Yeah, we could try that. Okay, give me the papers," Wesley said, ready to explore this idea. Wesley finished his work early to keep his promise to Chelsea. He decided to stop by a convenience store to buy her some sweets, even though the housekeeper and doctor said she shouldn't have sugar. Wesley knew a chocolate bar would make her happy, even if it wasn't the healthiest choice. As he left the store, he noticed a girl standing outside who seemed troubled. Despite not looking homeless, Wesley felt she needed help. He approached her and asked if she needed assistance. The girl was initially scared but then smiled and asked for some spare change. She explained she was out of money and hungry. Wesley spotted a nearby restaurant and offered to buy her some food. "Thank you so much, sir. This is really embarrassing," the girl said. "No need to feel embarrassed. Let's get you something to eat," Wesley replied kindly. As they walked to the restaurant, Wesley couldn't help but think about the girl's age. She seemed to be about 15 or 16, just like his daughter Chelsea. But there was something in her eyes that made her seem bolder. The girl ate eagerly, and watching her made Wesley hungry too. Suddenly, he had an idea. "I'm sorry, I never asked your name," Wesley said. "I'm Melissa," the girl replied. "Melissa, where are your parents? Do you live with them?" Melissa paused. "I don't really know them. I used to live with my grandma in a trailer park, but she passed away 7 months ago, so I moved to the city." "Do you have somewhere to stay?" Wesley asked. Melissa shrugged. "I was staying with my grandma's friend for a while, helping out around the house, but then her kids took her to another city." "So, you're saying you have nowhere to go?" Wesley asked. Melissa nodded. "I guess not. Would you like to come live with us? I have a daughter," Wesley offered. "Is she sick?" "How do you know?" Melissa asked, surprised. Melissa noticed Wesley's confusion and explained how she figured out he had a daughter who was sick. "You're pretty sharp. How old are you?" Wesley asked. "I'll be 16 soon," Melissa replied. "Do you have any identification with you?" Wesley inquired. "It's at the mall nearby. A nice janitor lets me keep my stuff there. Sometimes I help him clean and he lets me stay," Melissa explained. Wesley considered the situation. He liked Melissa. "So, what do you think? Want to come live with us? We have a nurse and a housekeeper. My daughter just needs someone to talk to," Wesley offered. "I understand. Yeah, I can do that," Melissa agreed. "You barely know me, yet you agreed to come with me," Wesley remarked. "Don't worry. I trust you," Melissa replied. "How much do you think I should pay you?" Wesley asked. "You don't have to pay me anything," Melissa said, kindly declining. Wesley thought Melissa was very innocent and genuine. They were in a car, driving past the bright lights of the city, and Melissa was gazing out the window. Wesley saw this as an opportunity to discuss his daughter. "So, Melissa, let me tell you about Chelsea." "You don't really have to. If she wants to, she'll share her story with me when she's ready," Melissa replied. Wesley agreed with a nod. He was still perplexed and curious about where Melissa had actually come from. When they got to his house, Wesley first showed Melissa her bedroom. She really liked it. "It's beautiful. I've never had a bed like that." "Make yourself at home. You can unpack while I step out for a bit," Wesley said. Melissa was thrilled with her own bedroom. She meticulously unpacked her belongings and arranged her clothes tightly in the closet. After finishing, Melissa silently left her room and walked into the hallway where Wesley was walking towards her. He stopped and said that it was time for her to meet Chelsea. Chelsea was sitting in her bed, looking out the window. "Hey, honey." Chelsea slowly turned around and smiled. "Hey, Dad." "Melissa, this is my daughter, Chelsea, and Chelsea, this is Melissa." Wesley introduced them. "Nice to meet you, Melissa," Chelsea said, looking at Melissa with great interest. "She is a really nice young lady. I'm sure you will get along well and make really good friends," Wesley added. "All right, you two go ahead and get to know each other. I'll go change," Wesley said. Melissa slowly walked over to Chelsea's bed and looked at her without saying anything. "Hi," she said. "Hi," Chelsea replied. Chelsea could feel that Melissa was looking deep into her soul. She had a weird feeling. Chelsea was a bit frightened and looked at Melissa, but then Melissa smiled. "Don't be scared. Everything's gonna be all right," Melissa said. Gradually, the awkward tension between them subsided, and they started talking. By the time Wesley came back, Chelsea was laughing. As he walked in and saw them, he froze. He hadn't seen her beaming and heard this laughter for the last couple of years. Melissa was telling her how her grandma would have herbal teas every time to make her memory better. She kept losing her shiny things and thought that she was forgetting them somewhere, and it turned out that a magpie was flying in and stealing them. "Are you guys having fun?" Chelsea turned to her dad and said, "We are." With that, Wesley said that dinner would be ready in an hour. He was expecting a refusal from his daughter as usual. This time, Chelsea said, "Dad, do you think we can move my bed to the kitchen? I want to eat there." Wesley was shocked. "Of course, honey. Let me get the chair instead. They had purchased a special chair for her a long time ago, but Chelsea never used it. She had totally been against it. Wesley instructed the housekeeper to prepare a table for 3 people, which surprised her. However, when she noticed Chelsea chatting animatedly with another girl, she quickly got to work. Chelsea couldn't eat a lot, but she had a hearty appetite. It was peculiar and uncommon. It was the first time she ate well. For a brief moment, Wesley began to question what the doctors had told him, but he realized that doctors from 3 different countries can be wrong at the same time. Before going to bed, Melissa noticed that Chelsea was curled up in pain. "Melissa, can you call the housekeeper? I need a shot," Chelsea said. But Melissa walked up to Chelsea and put her palm on top of her head. After a minute, Chelsea began to feel that the pain was subsiding. She had never felt anything like that before. She wanted to ask how Melissa was doing that, but she couldn't. Her eyes were drooping, and she felt like she was falling asleep. Melissa stood up to shut the door and saw the housekeeper hurrying to give Chelsea a shot. "Excuse me, ma'am, she's better. She fell asleep." "What do you mean she's sleeping? What about the—" The housekeeper appeared inside and saw Chelsea was indeed asleep. "That's impossible." 2 weeks passed, and Chelsea had changed a lot. Wesley was astonished. He saw how Melissa was leading her by the hand carefully. For the first time in the last few years, Chelsea got out into the yard. Wesley couldn't believe what he was seeing, but he was still wary that it could be something temporary. "Mr. Harris, where did you find this girl?" the housekeeper asked. "You won't believe it, but I met her on the street outside a store." "Is everything okay?" "Yeah, everything's fine. I mean, I don't know how to say this, but she's a bit strange. She knows everything. The other day she predicted that it was going to rain in 10 minutes. She told me that my son's sore throat needs to be treated with some kind of herb. I mean, look how much Chelsea has changed. Are you telling me she's some kind of clairvoyant or something? I don't know. I don't really believe those things, but I just don't understand how." Wesley smiled, but he agreed with the housekeeper. Melissa had a piercing gaze. In the morning, Wesley was getting ready for work. Melissa walked out to him from her room. "Mr. Harris, do you have to go to work today?" "Yes. Is everything okay? Can you stay home today, please?" "Why, Melissa? What's going on?" "I have a lot of things to do at the office." Melissa kept begging him not to go anywhere and to tell his driver to stay in the city today. Wesley didn't know why he agreed to listen to her. In the end, he decided he could probably work from home today. When he turned on the TV, he saw that there was a terrible accident on the highway involving a dozen cars. It happened exactly at the exit he was supposed to take and at around the time he usually passes through that area. He immediately got a call from his driver. The driver talked for a while and thanked Mr. Harris for letting him stay in the city today. Wesley got up and headed for Melissa's room. He couldn't take it anymore. He really wanted to know who she really was. He knocked on her door, but there was no response. Then he walked towards Chelsea's room, and as he was approaching, he heard loud noises. They were arguing about something. He stood behind a slightly open door and looked through. Melissa was shouting at Chelsea. "Get up now." "I can't." "Who told you you can't?" "But I'm really sick. I can't walk." "I'm not supposed to walk." "But you're still alive. Give me your hand." Wesley froze because Chelsea put her right foot on the floor, then the left, and then she got up. She wobbled immediately, and Wesley was about to lunge, but Melissa had already had her shoulder up for her. "There you go. Good job, Chelsea," Melissa told her. "And you were telling me you were destined to be in bed." Chelsea burst out laughing.
The day my mother sold our house out from under me, I was at work, organizing files, and dreaming about the garden I planned to plant that spring. I had no idea my entire world was about to implode. My name is Peyton, and I learned the hard way that some people will sacrifice anything for their addiction, even their own daughter's future. "Peyton, there's an urgent call for you on line 2, Sarah from reception called out. The tremor in her voice should have been my first warning. It was Rachel, our neighbor of 15 years. "Honey, you need to come home right now. Your mother, she's selling the house. The new owners are here with a moving truck." I nearly dropped the phone. "What? That's impossible. She can't." "She already did. The papers are signed. They're clearing everything out as we speak." As I drove away that day, I watched our house disappear in my rearview mirror. But I wasn't saying goodbye. I was making a promise. Victoria had no idea what she'd just set in motion. But she would. Oh, she would. You can't keep working yourself to death like this, Ellie said, sliding a coffee across my desk. 2 jobs is already insane. Now you want to add day trading. I gulped the coffee, desperately needed after my night shift at the bar. I need to make this happen faster. The housing market's only getting worse. It's been 6 months. You've already saved more than most people do in years. Before I could respond, Miguel from accounting stopped by my cubicle. He'd started dropping by more frequently lately, always with some excuse about expense reports. "Ladies," he said, leaning against my desk. I couldn't help but overhear. "You're interested in trading?" I minimized the investment website I'd been studying, just looking into some options. "Options trading? That's advanced stuff." He raised an eyebrow, impressed. "I actually teach a finance workshop on weekends. You should come." "I don't have weekends anymore," I said, checking my phone. 2 hours until my shift at the bar. "Make time," Miguel insisted. "You're working so hard to earn money. You should learn how to make it work for you." Ellie shot me a meaningful look. "He's right, Pei, and it wouldn't kill you to do something besides work." I was about to decline when I overheard 2 women walking past my cubicle. "That gorgeous Victorian on Maple Street. Heard it's going back on the market soon. The owners are divorcing." My heart stopped. That was my house. "I'll be there," I told Miguel. "Saturday morning?" His face lit up. 9 a.m. I'll text you the address." After they left, I pulled up the real estate website I'd been monitoring obsessively. Nothing listed yet, but if my house was going back on the market. "Earth to Peyton." Ellie waved her hand in front of my face. "You got that look again." "What look?" "The I'm plotting something slightly illegal look." I grabbed her arm. "I need your help. Remember how you said your cousin works at that investment firm? The one that handles private wealth management? Yeah, but can you get me a meeting?" She sighed. "Pay, they don't take clients without significant assets." "Then I'll get significant assets. Please, Elle, this might be my only chance." 2 weeks later, I was sitting in Miguel's living room with 5 other students, learning about market analysis. I hadn't expected him to be such a good teacher, but he had a way of making complex concepts click. "The key is to remove emotion from your decisions," he explained. "Markets run on fear and greed. Success comes from rising above both." I thought about Victoria, probably burning through her casino credits right now. "What about revenge? What does that do to the market?" Miguel gave me a curious look. "Revenge is the most expensive emotion of all. Usually costs more than it pays." After class, he caught me before I could leave. "Hey, want to grab coffee? I've got some resources that might help with what you're trying to do." "Rain check?" "I've got work." "The bar again?" When I nodded, he frowned. "You know, with your financial instincts, you could be doing something much more lucrative." "I'm working on it." That night at the bar, I served drinks while mentally calculating compound interest rates. A drunk patron grabbed my wrist as I delivered his bourbon. "Hey, beautiful, when do you get off?" I pulled away, remembering Victoria's words. "You'll land on your feet, darling. You always do." "Sorry," I said coldly. "I'm busy building an empire." The next morning, I met with Ellie's cousin's firm. The wealth manager, David, looked skeptically at my proposal. "You want to create a shell company for your investments? That's unusual for someone your age." "I have my reasons." "And legitimate funds to invest?" I placed my bank statements on his desk. 6 months of savings from 2 jobs, plus some strategic day trading. I'm a quick study. He reviewed the numbers, eyebrows rising. "Impressive start, but why the need for privacy?" "Let's just say I'd prefer certain family members don't track my success." I ran 3 red lights getting home. By the time I pulled into my driveway, half the contents of our house were strewn across the front lawn like casualties of war. Strange men carried out my grandmother's antique dresser, while others hauled away the dining room set where I'd done my homework every day since 3rd grade. "Mom!" I screamed, rushing past the movers. "Mom, what have you done?" After I left the meeting, Ellie called. "Well, How'd it go? I'm in. They're setting up the accounts under my new business name, which is Phoenix Rising Investments. She laughed. Subtle. It felt appropriate. I checked my watch. Time for Miguel's next workshop. Hey, did you know the average return on real estate investments in our area is 12% annually? Oh God, he's turned you into a finance nerd. Knowledge is power, Elle. And power? I thought about Victoria's dismissive wave as she walked away that day. Power is exactly what I need right now. Just be careful, Pay. Revenge is expensive, I know, but so is losing everything you love. And I'm done being the one who pays that price. Ms. Phoenix Rising, your portfolio's performance has been remarkable, Luis said, adjusting his tie as he reviewed my accounts. Though I must admit, I've never had a client insist on conducting all business through video calls before. I adjusted my wig and glasses, my standard disguise for these meetings. Privacy is paramount in my business, Mr. Anderson. Indeed. And now you're interested in real estate. One property in particular. I sent him the listing. The Victorian on Maple Street. He clicked through the photos. Ah, yes, beautiful home. Just listed yesterday. But there's already significant interest. I'll pay cash, above asking price. Luis's eyebrows shot up. That's aggressive. I know what I want. After the call, I pulled off the wig and stared at my reflection. 9 months of working myself to exhaustion, of studying investment strategies until my eyes burned, of transforming myself into someone Victoria would never recognize. It was all about to pay off. My phone buzzed. Miguel. Hey, he said when I answered. Missed you at the workshop today. Sorry, had a business meeting. Must be important. You haven't missed a Saturday in months. I smiled, remembering how his workshops had given me the foundation for everything I'd accomplished. Actually, I'm about to make an offer on a house. That's amazing. We should celebrate. Dinner tonight? My heart skipped. I can't. Not until this deal is done. But after... I'll hold you to that, he said softly. Later that day, I met Ellie at our favorite coffee shop. She slid into the booth with 2 lattes and a concerned expression. Rachel called me, she said. She ran into Victoria at the grocery store. My hands tightened around my cup. And? She's not doing well. Lost everything at the casino. She's been staying at shelters. Good. Pay. Don't. She made her choices. Ellie leaned forward. I know she hurt you. But this revenge thing, creating a whole fake identity, buying your house back just to what? Rub it in her face? It's not about revenge anymore. It's about justice. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're letting her destroy you all over again. My phone rang. Luis. I answered on speaker. Ms. Phoenix, I have good news. They've accepted your offer. Ellie's eyes widened as I maintained my fake accent. Excellent. When can we close? The sellers are motivated. We could have keys in your hands by next week. After hanging up, I looked at Ellie triumphantly. See? Everything's falling into place. And what happens when Victoria finds out who really bought the house? She won't. Not until I want her to. The next week passed in a blur of paperwork and preparations. I met Luis at his office to sign the final documents, this time in person, but still in disguise. Congratulations, he said, handing me the keys. The house is yours. I turned them over in my palm, remembering how Victoria had taken my key that day, without a second thought. As I left the office, my phone buzzed with a text from Miguel. Did you get it? Yes, I'm a homeowner. Dinner time? I smiled despite myself. Soon, I promise. That evening, I stood on the sidewalk outside my house again, watching the sunset paint the Victorian trim in shades of gold. A car slowed as it passed, and I tensed, but it wasn't Victoria. Rachel walked up behind me. I thought I'd find you here. How did you know? Victoria stood in our gutted living room, clutching her designer purse like a life preserver. Her perfectly manicured nails and fresh highlights told me exactly where the last of our money had gone. Peyton, darling, I was going to call you, but... But what? But you were too busy selling my home. Where am I supposed to live? She waved her hand dismissively. Don't be dramatic. You're 28, far too old to still be living at home anyway. This is for the best. Give me some credit. I've known you since you were 13. She squeezed my shoulder. Your father would be proud, you know, building all this on your own. Would he? Sometimes I think he'd be ashamed of what I'm becoming. You're becoming someone who refuses to be victimized. Nothing shameful about that. She paused. But honey, at some point you'll have to decide if getting even is worth losing yourself. I pulled out my new keys. Want to see inside? The house was empty, echoing with memories. I walked through each room, touching the walls, the door frames, the window seats. Everything was exactly as I remembered, yet completely different. My phone buzzed again, a text from Ellie. Rachel told me Victoria's been asking around about cheap rooms for rent. She's desperate. I stood in what used to be my bedroom, looking out at the street where I'd learned to ride my bike, where Dad had taught me to drive, where Victoria had walked away without looking back. Perfect timing, I texted back, because that's exactly what I'd been waiting for, the moment when Victoria would have nowhere else to go. And then, only then, would I open my door to her, let her see what it feels like to be at someone else's mercy. Moving back into my childhood home felt like stepping into a funhouse mirror version of my life. Everything was familiar, but slightly wrong. I'd furnished it differently, painted the walls new colors, trying to make it feel like it belonged to Phoenix Rising instead of Peyton. The doorbell rang as I was unpacking boxes in the kitchen. Miguel stood on the porch with takeout bags. Surprise, he said, grinning. Figured you could use dinner after moving day. I glanced down at my paint-stained clothes. I'm a mess. You're perfect. He held up the bags. I brought Thai and wine. We sat on moving boxes in the living room, eating pad Thai straight from the containers. Miguel looked around appreciatively. This place is incredible, but why such a big house for one person? I took a long sip of wine. I like having space. Space for what? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Rachel's name flashed on the screen. Sorry, I need to take this. I stepped into the hallway. Rachel? She's back in town, Rachel said without preamble. Victoria, I just saw her at the shelter where I volunteer. My hand tightened on the phone. How does she look? Rough. She asked about you. What did you tell her? That I hadn't seen you in months, but Peyton... Rachel hesitated. She's hitting rock bottom, hard. Good. Is it? Because you don't sound happy about it. I glanced back at Miguel, who was pretending not to listen while examining my bookshelf. I have to go. When I returned, Miguel held up a familiar book. The Art of War? Interesting choice. Know your enemy, I said automatically, then winced. He set the book down carefully. Want to talk about it? Not really. Okay. He topped off my wine. Then let's talk about why you've been avoiding having dinner with me for months. I choked on my drink. I haven't been... You have. And I get it. You're focused on your goals. But life's happening while you're planning your next move. A car drove by outside, its headlights sweeping across the walls. I jumped, half expecting to see Victoria. Miguel noticed. You seem on edge. Are you in some kind of trouble? No, I set down my wine. It's complicated. It always is. He moved closer. But you don't have to handle complicated alone. His hand found mine, and for a moment, I let myself imagine a different kind of life. One where I wasn't consumed by this elaborate revenge plot, where I could just be a woman having dinner with a man who made her laugh. The moment shattered when my phone buzzed with a text from Ellie. Victoria asked about renting a room in the neighborhood. People are pointing her toward your house. Apparently it's known that Phoenix Rising rents rooms. I should probably call it tonight, I told Miguel, pulling my hand away. Early meeting tomorrow. He looked disappointed but didn't push. Thanks for finally having dinner with me, even if it was just takeout on boxes. After he left, I walked through the house checking every lock twice. In my old bedroom, now my home office, I pulled up the security camera feeds I'd installed. The street was empty, but I knew it was only a matter of time. My phone rang again. Ellie. For the best? My voice cracked. This house is all we have left of Dad. How could you? A mover brushed past us with my bookshelf. Ma'am, where do you want these boxes? Just put everything by the curb, Victoria said. My daughter will handle it. That's when I saw the gambling receipts poking out of her purse. The same addiction that had destroyed my father was now taking our last connection to him. How much? I demanded. What? How much did you get for the house? You're really going through with this? She asked. You know I am. And what happens when she shows up? When she's standing on your doorstep with nowhere else to go? I watched another car pass on the security feed. Then I'll finally have what I want. Will you? Because from where I'm standing, you're trapped in this house waiting for your mother to become homeless enough to beg you for help. That's not freedom pay. That's a prison of your own making. You don't understand. I understand that Miguel left here looking like a kicked puppy. I understand that you're pushing away everyone who cares about you to make room for this revenge fantasy. I pressed my forehead against the cool window glass. It's not a fantasy. It's justice. Is it? Because it looks like you're becoming exactly what you hate. Someone who uses people's desperation against them. The words hit harder than I expected. In the reflection of the window, I caught a glimpse of myself, and for a second, just a second, I saw Victoria's calculating expression on my face. I have to go, I said, hanging up. Outside, the streetlights flickered on one by one, casting long shadows across my perfectly manicured lawn. Somewhere out there, Victoria was running out of options, running out of places to go. Soon she'd find her way here, to the one house on Maple Street rumored to rent rooms to desperate people. And I'd be waiting. Just like she taught me, sometimes you have to sacrifice everything for what you want, even if what you want is revenge. The knock came at dusk, 3 days later. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I saw her through the security camera feed on my phone. Victoria, standing on my porch, clutching a worn designer bag that had seen better days. I adjusted my wig, checked my makeup, and opened the door. Can I help you? She didn't recognize me. Of course she didn't. The blonde wig, colored contacts, and carefully applied makeup had transformed me into a stranger. I heard you might have rooms for rent. Her voice was smaller than I remembered, her shoulders hunched against the cold. Who told you that? The shelter downtown, and some neighbors. She tried to smile, but it wavered. I can pay. Not much, but... Come in. I stepped aside, watching her enter the house she'd sold out from under me. Would you like some coffee? Her hands shook as she accepted the mug. We sat at the kitchen table, new, modern, nothing like the one where we'd eaten countless family dinners. I used to live here, you know, she said, looking around. Before what? Before I made a terrible mistake. She set down her coffee. My daughter, she grew up in this house. Really? I kept my voice neutral. Where is she now? I don't know. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I lost her, lost everything. How? Gambling. It's a disease, really. I sold this house to pay my debts, but then... She gestured helplessly. Well, you can see how that turned out. I leaned back, studying her. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by threadbare department store finds. Her perfectly manicured nails were chipped, her highlighted hair showing grey roots. And your daughter? She didn't help you? Victoria laughed bitterly. Why would she? I threw her out. Didn't even give her time to pack properly. She traced the wood grain of the table. I keep hoping she'll forgive me, but I wouldn't forgive me either. The coffee turned sour in my stomach. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She was supposed to be arrogant, entitled, not sitting here drowning in regret. My phone buzzed. Miguel. Miss you at the workshop. Dinner tonight. I have a spare room upstairs, I heard myself saying. $300 a month includes utilities. Victoria's head snapped up. Really? But that's so reasonable. Take it or leave it. I'll take it. Thank you, Ms. Phoenix, I said. You can move in tomorrow. After she left, I called Ellie in a panic. What have I done? She's going to be living here. Actually living here. Isn't that what you wanted? I paced the kitchen. I don't know what I wanted anymore. She seems so different. People change when they hit bottom, Ellie said. Question is, are you going to kick her while she's down? Before I could answer, another knock came at the door. Miguel stood there with takeout again. If you won't come to dinner, dinner comes to you, he said, then noticed my appearance. Nice wig. Costume party. I touched my head, horrified. I'd forgotten to change back. I can explain. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Enough to cover my debts. And a little extra for a fresh start. I grabbed her arm. You mean enough for the casino? How long before you blow through that too? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. This isn't just your house to sell. This was our home. My home. Rachel appeared in the doorway, tears in her eyes. Peyton, honey, you can stay with me tonight. Can you? Because I've been patient, Peyton. Really patient. But there's clearly something going on here. I pulled him inside, checking the street for Victoria before closing the door. You have to promise not to tell anyone. He set down the food. I'm listening. I told him everything. Victoria, the house, my alter ego. By the time I finished, the takeout was cold, and Miguel was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. So your mother, who doesn't recognize you in a wig, is moving in tomorrow? Yes. And your plan is, what? Torture her with kindness until she breaks? Put that way, it sounded ridiculous. I don't know anymore. He ran a hand through his hair. Pei, I say this with love, but this is insane. You're setting yourself up for disaster. I can't back out now. Actually, you can. That's the beauty of being the landlord. He took my hand. But if you're determined to do this, at least let me help. Let someone be on your side. I looked at our joined hands, then at the security feed showing Victoria's car pulling away. Tomorrow, I said. She moves in tomorrow and then... And then you'll what? Keep wearing a disguise in your own house. Live a double life indefinitely. Until she realizes what she did. Until she feels what I felt. Miguel squeezed my hand. And what if what you feel changes first? I pulled away, unable to answer, because the truth was, it already had. Seeing Victoria broken had cracked something in my carefully constructed plan, but it was too late to stop now. Tomorrow my mother would move back into the house she'd sold away, and I would finally have my revenge. Wouldn't I? Living with Victoria was like performing in a twisted play where I was the only one who knew the script. Every morning, I'd put on my disguise and pretend to be Ms. Phoenix, the stern but fair landlord, while my mother tiptoed around the house like a ghost of her former self. I made coffee, Victoria said one morning, pushing a mug across the kitchen counter. As a thank you, for everything. I accepted it warily. You don't need to thank me. I do. You don't know what it means to be back in this house. She touched the wall gently. Even with all the changes, it still feels like home. The coffee scalded my tongue. Once, she would have remembered I liked it with cream. Tell me about your daughter, I heard myself say. Victoria's face crumpled. Peyton, she is everything I'm not. Strong, responsible, kind. She pulled something from her pocket, a worn photograph. This was her favorite spot. I recognized the picture. Me at 16, curled up in the window seat with a book. Dad had taken it months before his heart attack. You must miss her, I said, my disguised voice nearly cracking. Every day. I keep hoping she'll call, but... Victoria's phone buzzed. She checked it, shoulders slumping. Excuse me, I need to take this. Through the security cameras, I watched her step onto the porch. Her voice drifted through the window. Yes, I understand I'm behind on payments. No, please don't close my account. I'm trying to reach my daughter. The front door opened, and Miguel walked in carrying grocery bags. He'd started coming over more often, claiming he was checking on me. but I suspected he was really making sure I didn't completely lose myself in this charade. "Your mother's crying on the porch," he said quietly. "She's always crying lately. Pay." He set down the bags. "How long are you going to do this?" Until what? Until she's suffered enough. Who decides when that is?" Before I could answer, Victoria came back inside, hastily wiping her eyes. She stopped short at seeing Miguel. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had company." "This is Miguel," I said. "My friend." "Boyfriend," he corrected, giving me a pointed look. Victoria smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her in weeks. "How wonderful. Will you stay for dinner? I found an old recipe box in the kitchen yesterday. There's this amazing lasagna my daughter used to love." I froze. That recipe box had been my grandmother's. I'd been looking for it since moving back in. "Actually," Miguel said smoothly, "we have dinner plans. But another time." I barely heard her. I was too focused on memorizing every detail of our house. The chip in the kitchen door frame from when I learned to ride my skateboard indoors, the height marks penciled on the wall, the window seat where I'd read hundreds of books. "You have 2 hours to clear your things," the new owner said, not unkindly. "Anything left goes to the dump." 2 hours. 15 years of memories reduced to 2 hours. After Victoria retreated upstairs, he turned to me. "She found your grandmother's recipes, and you're still convinced she's the same person who threw you out?" "Stop." "No, you stop. Look at what this is doing to you, to her, to us." "Us?" "Yes, us. Remember me? The guy who's been trying to date you for months while you're busy playing dress-up and plotting revenge." I sank into a kitchen chair. "I never meant to hurt you. I know, but you are." He knelt beside me. "The woman upstairs is broken, Pei, and this game you're playing, it's breaking you too." A crash from upstairs interrupted us. We rushed up to find Victoria in my old room, now my office, staring at a fallen picture frame. "I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I was just... this room..." She picked up the frame, then stopped. The photo showed me, the real me, at my college graduation. I'd forgotten I'd left it out. "This is your daughter," Victoria whispered. "You know Peyton?" I bought the house from her," I improvised. "She needed money for investments." Victoria traced my face in the photo. "She's doing well. She's happy." I thought about the months I'd spent working 2 jobs, studying investments, creating this elaborate scheme. "She's surviving." "Good, that's good." Victoria set down the photo carefully. I need some air." After she left, Miguel picked up the photograph. "You know what I see in this picture? Someone who was proud of her accomplishments. Someone who didn't need revenge to prove her worth. I can't stop now. She's so close to breaking." "Breaking? Pei, look around. She's already broken. The question is, are you going to let this break you too?" He left me standing there, staring at my graduation photo while downstairs, Victoria's muffled sobs echoed through the security feed. This was what I wanted, wasn't it? Then why did victory taste so much like defeat? The truth came out on a Tuesday, in the most mundane way possible. I was making dinner, still in my Phoenix disguise, when Victoria walked into the kitchen holding my father's old coffee mug. "I found this in the back of the cupboard," she said. "It still has the chip where Peyton dropped it learning to wash dishes." "Oh?" My hand shook as I chopped vegetables. Funny thing is, I packed this mug myself when we moved out. I distinctly remember wrapping it in newspaper. She set it on the counter with deliberate care. "So how did it end up here?" The knife stilled. "Perhaps the new owners. And these vegetables." She gestured to my cutting board. "You're dicing them exactly the way I taught Peyton. Exactly the same size." I kept chopping, faster now. Many people cut vegetables this way. I turned to Victoria, who was already heading for the door. "Where are you going?" "I have an appointment," she said, checking her watch. "You'll land on your feet, darling. You always do." And just like that, she was gone. No goodbye, No apology, no backward glance. Rachel helped me salvage what I could: photo albums, important documents, some clothes. We worked in silence, both knowing this was the end of an era. As I packed the last box into my car, I noticed the for sale sign had already been marked sold. Below it, a business card was stuck in the grass. I picked it up, reading the name of the real estate company that had facilitated this nightmare. Something shifted inside me then. A seed of determination took root where my heart had been shattered. "I'm going to get it back," I whispered. Rachel touched my shoulder. "What was that, honey?" I straightened up, slipping the card into my pocket. "I'm going to get my house back. I don't care how long it takes or what I have to do. This isn't over." "Peyton." "No, listen to me. She thinks she can just throw away everything we built here, everything Dad worked for. Well, she's wrong. I'm going to find a way to buy this house back. And when I do..." I took a deep breath, surprised by the steel in my voice. "When I do, she'll learn what it feels like to have everything taken away. And your hands..." Her voice cracked. "I've been staring at them for weeks, knowing they reminded me of something. They're my daughter's hands." The knife clattered to the counter. "Victoria, take off the wig, Peyton." My fingers trembled as I removed the wig and contacts. Victoria staggered back like I'd struck her. "How long?" she whispered. "How long have you been playing this game?" "Game?" I laughed harshly. "You think this is a game? You sold our home, Dad's home, for gambling money. You left me with nothing. So this was revenge? Letting me live here, watching me break down, all while pretending to be someone else. Now you know how it feels to be at someone else's mercy." She sank into a kitchen chair. "I deserve that, all of it. But Peyton, what you've done, this elaborate deception, don't you dare judge me." I slammed my hand on the counter. "You have no right." "I'm not judging, I'm terrified." She looked up, tears streaming. "Terrified that I hurt you so badly you'd do something like this. That I turned my beautiful, kind daughter into someone who could plot revenge for months. I am not. You're exactly like me." The words hit like a slap. Calculating, patient, willing to sacrifice anything for your goal. I used to be so proud of how much you were like me. Now it horrifies me. My legs gave out. I gripped the counter for support. "I'm nothing like you." "No, I gambled away our future for a chance at quick money. You gambled away your present for a chance at revenge." The front door opened. Miguel's voice called out, "Pay? Your car's still here, but you're not answering your phone." He stopped in the doorway, taking in the scene. My removed disguise, Victoria's tears, the heavy silence. "It's over," I said quietly. He moved to my side. "Are you okay?" Victoria watched us with dawning recognition. "You knew about all of this?" "I tried to talk her out of it," he said, "but Peyton's stubborn when she thinks she's right. Like mother, like daughter," Victoria murmured. I pushed away from the counter. "You need to leave. Peyton, both of you, please, I can't." Miguel touched my shoulder. "Pay, running away won't fix this." "Fix what?" I gestured wildly. "The fact that I spent months planning the perfect revenge, only to realize I'm turning into the person I hate most. That I wasted all this time becoming exactly what she made me." "I didn't make you anything," Victoria said softly. "You chose this, just like I chose gambling over you. We both have to live with our choices." She stood, gathering her few belongings. At the kitchen door, she paused. "For what it's worth, I am sorry. Not just for selling the house, but for everything before that. For teaching you that love means control. That winning means making others lose." She wiped her eyes. "You're better than that. Better than me." "Where will you go?" Miguel asked. "There's a recovery program. I've been carrying their card for weeks." She pulled it from her pocket. "Maybe it's time." After she left, Miguel held me while I shook apart. "I don't know who I am anymore," I whispered. "You're Peyton, the woman who built herself up from nothing, who's smart and driven and capable of incredible things." He kissed my temple. "The question is, what will you build next? Through the window, I watched Victoria walk away. But this time, she looked back, and this time, I was the one who had to decide. Was I strong enough to let go of revenge? To build something new from the ashes of what we'd both destroyed? The coffee mug sat on the counter, its familiar chip a reminder of simpler times, of a girl who once dropped dishes while learning to care for a home. Maybe it was time to learn something new. The real estate office felt smaller than I remembered. Luis looked between Victoria and me, confusion clear on his face. You want to do what exactly? Convert the house into a recovery center, I said, squeezing Miguel's hand under the table. A place for women rebuilding their lives after addiction. Victoria sat quietly beside Rachel, who'd agreed to help run the program. After that night in the kitchen, she'd actually gone to rehab. 90 days sober now. The zoning laws, Luis began, are already handled, I interrupted. Rachel's organization has the permits. And the funding. Phoenix Rising Investments will provide initial capital. I smiled at Victoria. With some expert advice on what recovering addicts actually need. Luis shuffled his papers. You understand this is unusual? Story of my life, I said. After signing the papers, we stood outside the office. Victoria touched my arm hesitantly. You don't have to do this, she said. The house is yours. You earned it. That's why I can choose what to do with it. I met her eyes. Besides, Phoenix Rising needs a new project. Trading stocks is getting boring. Rachel hugged me. Your father would be so proud. Of turning his home into a rehab center. Of turning pain into purpose. Miguel wrapped an arm around my waist. Speaking of purpose, we're going to be late for the workshop. You're still teaching those? Victoria asked him. Actually, Peyton's teaching today. Financial independence for women starting over. I'd fought him on it initially, but he'd insisted my story could help others. Just maybe not the revenge part. Before you go, Victoria said, I have something for you. She pulled out a familiar recipe box. I thought maybe, for the house, some of the women might want to learn to cook. I ran my fingers over the worn edges, remembering countless nights in our kitchen. Only if you'll teach them Grandma's lasagna. Me? You're the only one who knows the secret ingredient. Her eyes welled up. Peyton, I don't deserve... This isn't about deserving. It's about choosing to be better than we were yesterday. At the workshop that afternoon, I stood before a room of women, my mother among them. No wig, no contacts, no mask of revenge to hide behind. Many of you know me as a success story, I began. But success isn't just about making money. Sometimes it's about losing everything and finding out who you really are. Victoria smiled encouragingly from the back row. Today, we're going to talk about investment strategies, but first I want to tell you about two women who lost their way. One to gambling, one to revenge, and how they both found something better than winning. What's that? Someone asked. Peace, I said, the kind that comes from building instead of breaking. That evening we gathered at the house, soon to be Hope House, for one last family dinner. Ellie brought wine, Rachel made salad, and Victoria taught Miguel the secret to perfect garlic bread. I stood in the doorway watching them, remembering all the nights I'd spent here alone, plotting revenge. The security cameras were gone now, along with the elaborate disguises and carefully constructed lies. Penny for your thoughts? Miguel asked, pulling me close. Just thinking about choices. Roads not taken. Regrets? I watched Victoria laugh at something Ellie said, her AA chip catching the light as she gestured. No, just gratitude. For what? For failing at revenge, for becoming something better than my pain. He kissed my temple. Speaking of becoming something better, that dinner you promised me months ago. What about it? I was thinking maybe we could make it official, like ring shopping official. My heart skipped. Before I could answer, Victoria called from the kitchen. Peyton, come show me where you want these cabinets reorganized for the new residents. Coming, Mom. Miguel raised an eyebrow. Mom? We're working on it. I squeezed his hand. And yes, to dinner, to rings, to everything. In the kitchen, surrounded by the people I loved, I picked up my father's chipped coffee mug. Once, it had been a symbol of everything I'd lost. Now, it would be the first item in Hope House's kitchen, reminding future residents that broken things can be precious too. "Ready to start over?" Victoria asked softly. I handed her the mug, watching her place it carefully on the shelf where it had always belonged. "No," I said, ready to move forward, because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's letting go of the person you became while hurting, and building something beautiful from the wreckage. Something like hope. The text message from my bank should have been my first clue that something was terribly wrong. "Unusual activity detected on your account." But I was too busy at work, drowning in spreadsheets and client meetings, to give it more than a cursory glance. My name is Gemma, and that message marked the beginning of the end of my old life, and the start of something I never thought I was capable of. "Hey, you okay?" Tiffany poked her head into my office cubicle. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I stared at my phone, my hands shaking. "My account, it's empty, every penny. My savings, my emergency fund, everything." "What? How is that possible?" Tiffany pulled up a chair, her face etched with concern. "Mom," I whispered, the realization hitting me like a punch to the gut. She must have gotten access somehow. The joint account we opened when I was in college. I never closed it. "Call her," Tiffany urged, squeezing my shoulder. I did. The call went straight to voicemail. Again. And again. "I have to go home," I said, grabbing my purse. "Something's not right." The drive home was a blur. When I pulled into the driveway of our family house, I noticed Mum's car was gone. The front door was locked, but everything inside looked normal, at first. Then I saw the note on the kitchen counter, written in her flowing handwriting. "Dearest Gemma, by the time you read this, I'll be overseas. I'm sorry, but I needed a fresh start. You'll understand someday. Love, Mom." I crumpled the note in my fist, tears burning my eyes. Understand, I screamed at the empty house. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello, is this Gemma Myers?" a man's voice asked. "Yes, who's this?" "Felix Anderson, your grandmother Talia's attorney. I've been trying to reach you. I'm sorry to inform you that your grandmother passed away last week. The room spun. Grandma Talia, the only person who ever stood up to Mom, who taught me to be strong. Gone. There are some urgent matters regarding her estate that we need to discuss," Felix continued. "Would you be able to come to my office tomorrow?" Yes, I can do that." After hanging up, I sank to the kitchen floor, hugging my knees to my chest. A shadow fell across me. "I came as soon as I could," Gideon said, crouching beside me. My old high school friend, always there when I needed him. "Tiffany called. Said you might need backup." "She took everything, Gid. Every cent I had." My voice cracked. "And now Grandma Talia's gone too." He sat next to me, our shoulders touching. "Remember when your mum convinced you to skip college and join her business venture instead? And Talia was the one who stepped in." I nodded, wiping my eyes. "Paid for my first semester herself. Told me to never let anyone steal my dreams." "Your mum's been playing these games your whole life, Gem. The guilt trips, the manipulation, the borrowed money that never got repaid." "I thought she'd changed," I whispered. "She seemed different lately, more stable." We were finally building a real relationship. My phone buzzed again, a text from Devon at work. "Hey, your mum just emailed the office saying you're taking a leave of absence for a family emergency. Everything okay?" "Oh my God." I showed Gideon the message. "She's covering her tracks, making sure no one questions why I might not be around for a few days." "She planned this," Gideon said, his voice hard. "All of it. Getting close to you again, gaining your trust, just so she could clean me out." The numbness was wearing off, replaced by something darker, something that scared me a little. "What are you thinking?" Gideon asked, studying my face. I stood up, straightening my shoulders. I'm thinking about what Grandma Talia always said. Sometimes the best revenge is letting karma do its job. But you know what? Maybe karma needs a little help sometimes. Jem. No, listen. Tomorrow I'm meeting with Grandma's lawyer. Whatever she left me in her will, it's a start. Mum thinks she's won. She has no idea what's coming. Gideon stood too, concern written across his features. Just be careful. Revenge has a way of changing people. I'm already changed, I said, looking around the house that held so many memories of manipulation and lies. And maybe that's exactly what I needed. My phone buzzed one final time. Another bank alert. Mum had just used my card at an airport in Singapore. Game on, Mother. Game on. Felix's office felt too warm, despite the autumn chill outside. I fidgeted in the leather chair, watching him sort through a stack of documents. Before we begin, he said, adjusting his glasses, I want to express my condolences. Talia was more than just a client to me. She was a dear friend. Thank you, I managed, my throat tight. I still can't believe she's gone. She spoke of you often. Felix pulled out a thick envelope. In fact, you were her primary concern during our last meeting. The door opened, and Tiffany slipped in, mouthing, "Sorry I'm late," as she took the seat beside me. I'd asked her to come for moral support, knowing I couldn't face this alone. As you know, Felix continued, your grandmother was a shrewd businesswoman. The boutique hotel chain she built is now valued at approximately $12 million. My head snapped up. 12 million? And that's just the hotels. He slid a document across the desk. There's also her personal estate, investment portfolio, and various properties. Tiffany grabbed my hand under the desk as Felix laid out the details. The numbers made my head spin. She left everything to you, Gemma. Every asset, every property, every penny. But what about Mum? The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Felix's expression hardened. Talia was explicit about Elizabeth's exclusion from the will. She said, and I quote, "My daughter has taken enough." A laugh bubbled up in my throat, slightly hysterical. Mum's going to lose it when she finds out. She already knows, Felix said quietly. She's been calling my office daily, threatening to contest the will. From Singapore, I muttered. How convenient. There's something else. Felix reached into his desk drawer. Talia left this for you, said I should give it to you privately. He handed me an old leather journal. Inside, Grandma's familiar handwriting filled the pages. I'll give you a moment, Felix said, standing. Tiffany, would you mind helping me gather some paperwork from the other room? Once they left, I opened the journal to a marked page. My dearest Gemma, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But I've watched you grow into a strong, capable woman, despite Elizabeth's best efforts to keep you dependent on her. The fortune I've left you isn't just money, it's freedom. Use it wisely. And remember, sometimes the best way to deal with a snake is to let it think it's winning, until it can't escape the trap it set for itself. All my love, Grandma Talia. My hands trembled as I closed the journal. The door opened, and Tiffany returned alone. You okay? She asked, sitting beside me. She knew, I whispered. Somehow Grandma knew Mum would try something like this. What are you thinking? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a notification. An email from Mom. Darling, I know you must be upset, but I had no choice. The opportunity was too good to pass up. Once my investment pays off, I'll pay you back double, I promise. And I heard about your grandmother. I'm so sorry. We should talk about the will. Call me? Love, Mom. She's unbelievable, Tiffany breathed, reading over my shoulder. She steals your money and still thinks she deserves part of the inheritance. I stood up, pacing the office. You know what's crazy? Part of me still wants to believe her. That's how good she is. Even now, she almost has me convinced. So what's the play? A plan was forming in my mind, crystal clear and terrifying. We let her think she's winning. Tell Felix to let it slip that I'm considering sharing the inheritance. Gemma, Mom wants to come home. Fine, let's give her something to come home to. I picked up Grandma's journal, a trap of her own making. Felix returned with a stack of papers. Ready to sign the transfer documents? Actually, I said, sitting down, I have some questions about property management, specifically about making someone think they have access to assets they don't actually control. Felix raised an eyebrow. I assume this has something to do with Elizabeth. Let's just say I'm taking Grandma's advice about handling snakes. As I signed document after document, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt, betrayed daughter was fading, replaced by someone stronger, someone who'd learned from the best about how to play the long game. One more thing, Felix said as we finished. Your grandmother left instructions about the master suite at the main house. Said you'd know what to do with it when the time came. I smiled, remembering the room Mum had always coveted but Grandma never let her use. Oh, I know exactly what to do with it. Mum's going to love it, right up until she doesn't. You're going to let her stay in the master suite? Tiffany nearly choked on her coffee. We were sitting in my new office, at the hotel's headquarters, surrounded by boxes I hadn't unpacked yet. The same woman who just cleaned out your bank account. That's exactly why it's perfect. I pulled up the security camera feed on my laptop, showing the luxurious room. Grandma had cameras installed everywhere after Mom's last attempt to borrow her jewelry. Devious, Tiffany grinned. I like it. A knock at the door interrupted us. Gideon walked in, carrying a stack of files. Your mother's been busy, he said, dropping them on my desk. I had my friend at the bank pull her transaction history. I flipped through the papers, my jaw tightening. First-class tickets, luxury hotels, shopping sprees. She's burning through my savings like it's nothing. There's more, Gideon said, pointing to a highlighted entry. She's been making calls to real estate agents here in town. She's planning to come back. Sooner than you think, I said, turning my laptop around to show them an email I'd just received. Dearest Gemma, I've had time to think about my actions, and I realize I've made terrible mistakes. I'm coming home next week. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope we can talk. I heard you've inherited Talia's estate. Perhaps we could discuss it over dinner. Love, Mom. Wow, Tiffany said. She's not even trying to hide her intentions. Perfect. I opened my calendar. Time to set the stage. Gideon, can you help me with something? He raised an eyebrow. Depends. Is it legal? Mostly. I smiled. I need you to pick Mom up from the airport next week. Make it seem like I'm too busy with the hotels to come myself. And then bring her to the house, Tiffany caught on, where everything will be set up just the way she expects. Rich daughter, ready to be manipulated again. Exactly. I pulled out Grandma's journal. But first, we need to make some changes to the master suite. Over the next week, we transformed the room into a perfect trap. Every luxury item was catalogued and photographed. Every drawer had a hidden camera. Every safe was rigged to record when it was opened. The tracking software is installed, Devon announced, closing his laptop. I'd brought him in for his IT expertise, swearing him to secrecy. Any email she sends or receives from the house network will be forwarded to you. You're scary good at this, Gideon observed, watching me arrange expensive-looking costume jewelry in the suite safe. I learned from the best, I said, thinking of all the times I'd watched Mom manipulate people. She taught me everything I know about deception. Time to show her what a good student I've been. My phone buzzed. A text from Felix. Elizabeth's lawyer called. She's withdrawing her challenge to the will. Of course she is, Tiffany said, reading over my shoulder. Why fight for crumbs when she thinks she can get the whole cake? That evening, as we finished the preparations, Gideon pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? It's not too late to back out. I looked around the room that would become Mom's gilded cage. You know what she said when I got into college? Why waste time studying when you could be helping me with my business? She convinced me to give her my tuition money. If Grandma hadn't stepped in... I remember, he said softly. You were a mess that year. She's never faced consequences, Gid. Not real ones. She just moves on to her next target, Her next scheme. Not this time. My phone chimed with a flight confirmation. Mom would land tomorrow morning. Places everyone, I announced. Time for the final touches. We worked late into the night, setting up the last details. A closet full of designer clothes, all tagged with security sensors. A jewelry box filled with pieces that would test her self-control. Bank statements accidentally left visible on the desk, showing accounts she'd never be able to access. One last thing, I said, placing Grandma's old silver mirror on the vanity. Mom had always coveted it, tried to steal it twice. Now it would serve as the perfect bait. As everyone left, Tiffany hugged me tight. You know she's going to try to turn this around on you, right? Make you feel guilty. I'm counting on it. I locked the suite door. That's how I know the plan will work. Mom can't resist playing the victim, right up until she goes for the kill. Later, alone in my apartment, I watched the security feeds one last time. Everything was perfect, every detail calculated to appeal to Mom's greed and manipulation. Game on, Mother, I whispered to the empty room. Let's see how you like being the one who's played. I watched through the security feed as Gideon's car pulled into the driveway. Mom stepped out, looking exactly as I remembered. Designer sunglasses, perfectly styled hair, and an expression of practiced remorse. Showtime, I muttered, heading downstairs to meet her. The front door opened. Gemma, darling. Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched. She smelled of expensive perfume and false promises. I let her hug me, keeping my arms loose at my sides. Welcome back, Mom. Oh, sweetheart, I've missed you so much. She pulled back, tears glistening. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I was desperate. If you'll just let me explain. Not now, I cut her off, watching Gideon bring in her luggage. You must be tired from your flight. Let me show you to your room. Her eyes lit up as we climbed the stairs. The master suite, but that was always Talia's. It's mine now, I said, unlocking the door, and I want you to have it. Mom stepped inside, her mask slipping for a moment as she took in the opulent surroundings. The antique furniture, the silk drapes, the gleaming vanity with Grandma's silver mirror. It's perfect, she breathed, running her fingers along the mahogany dresser. Just perfect. There's more. I opened the walk-in closet. I had some clothes brought in for you, and the safe is stocked with jewelry you can borrow for special occasions. Her eyes darted to the safe, then back to me. You're too generous, darling. After everything I've done. Family is family, I said, the words tasting bitter. Besides, Grandma would have wanted us to reconcile. About the inheritance, Mum started, sitting on the plush bed. I know I have no right to ask, but... Let's discuss it over dinner, I interrupted. I have a meeting now, but I'll be back around 7. The house is yours. Make yourself at home. As I turned to leave, she caught my hand. Gemma, wait. I really am sorry. About the money, about everything. I'll make it right, I promise. I squeezed her hand, remembering all the other promises she'd made and broken. I know you will, Mom. I know you will. Downstairs, Gideon was waiting by his car. She bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. I pulled out my phone, opening the security app. Mom was already exploring the room, examining everything. Look, she's testing the safe's combination. Subtle, he snorted. Want me to stick around? No, go, but keep your phone on. Phase 2 starts tonight. Back at my office, Tiffany and Devin were monitoring the feeds. She's been in and out of that safe 6 times, Devin reported, and she's already tried to access your email on the laptop we left in the room. Any calls? I asked, settling behind my desk. 3, Tiffany said. All to her old real estate agent. Looks like she's planning to stay. Perfect. I pulled up the fake bank statements we'd prepared. Time to give her something to really think about. Send these to the printer in her room. We watched as the printer whirred to life. Mom practically pounced on the documents, her eyes widening as she read the figures. God, she's not even trying to hide her greed, Tiffany muttered. She thinks she doesn't have to, I said. In her mind, I'm still that naive girl who handed over her college fund. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Darling, could we move dinner earlier? There's so much I want to discuss. Here we go, I said, showing them the message. Everyone ready for phase 2? Devin grinned, pulling up the surveillance software. Cameras rolling, audio crystal clear. Your move, boss. I texted back, Of course, Mum. 5:30 at the house? I'll bring takeout. Her response was immediate. Perfect. And darling, thank you for giving me another chance. You won't regret it. Oh, but you will, I whispered, watching her preen in front of Grandma's mirror. You definitely will. Gemma, Gideon's voice was soft. You still have time to stop this. I thought of my empty bank account, of years of manipulation and lies, of Grandma's words in her journal, let it think it's winning. No, I said, straightening my shoulders. She needs to learn. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people we've hurt the most. On the screen, Mum was already plotting her next move, unaware that every gesture, every word, every scheme was being recorded. The trap was set, and she'd walked right into it. Dinner would be interesting indeed. The dining room felt smaller with Mom sitting across from me, picking at her pad thai. She'd changed into one of the designer outfits from the closet, a silk blouse that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. The hotels are doing so well, she said, casually steering the conversation where she wanted it. Talia always had a gift for business. Like mother, like daughter, I suppose. Like grandmother, like granddaughter, I corrected, watching her face tighten for a split second. Of course, darling. Though, I did learn quite a bit about hotel management during my time abroad. If you ever need help, my phone buzzed, a text from Devin. She's been Googling how to transfer property titles between family members. Actually, I said, setting down my fork, I could use your help with something. The Richardson account needs attention, and I'm swamped. Mum's eyes lit up. The Richardson account. One of our biggest clients. The paperwork's in my study. Want to take a look? She practically jumped from her chair. Lead the way, darling. In the study, I pulled up fake financial documents on my laptop. Mom leaned over my shoulder, her perfume almost suffocating. See these figures? I pointed to inflated numbers. They're interested in expanding their partnership. Fascinating, she breathed, already calculating percentages in her head. With my experience... A crash from upstairs interrupted her. We both looked up. Probably just the wind, I said, hiding my smile. Right on schedule, Gideon. I should check my window, Mom said quickly. I think I left it open. Of course, take your time. The moment she left, I pulled up the security feed on my phone. Mom rushed into the master suite, making a beeline for Grandma's silver mirror. She ran her hands along the frame, finding the hidden compartment we'd planted. Got you, I whispered as she pulled out the fake documents we'd stashed there. Confidential hotel contracts, showing massive upcoming deals. My phone buzzed again. Tiffany this time. Your mother just tried to email photos of the contracts to someone, caught in our filter. Perfect. Mum returned looking flushed but triumphant. Everything's fine upstairs. Now about the Richardson account. Actually, I'm feeling tired. I faked a yawn. Rain check. Of course, darling. You work too hard. She kissed my cheek. I think I'll make some calls. Catch up with old friends. Old friends like Marcus? I asked innocently, naming her former partner in crime. She froze for a microsecond. I haven't spoken to Marcus in years. Funny because he called the office today. Something about a business proposition. Mum's mask slipped slightly. Did he? Well, I'm sure it's nothing important. Later that night in my apartment, I watched the security feeds with Gideon. Mum was making call after call, her excitement barely contained. She's already trying to set up meetings with potential investors, Gideon said, scrolling through her intercepted emails, using the fake contracts as bait. Just like she did in Singapore. I leaned back, exhausted. Same script, different players. Gemma, Gideon touched my arm. I saw how you flinched when she hugged you. This is taking a toll. I'm fine. No, you're not. You're turning into her. The words hit like a slap. I am nothing like her. No, setting elaborate traps, playing mind games. What happens when this is over? She needs to learn. But at what cost to you? He turned my chair to face him. I've known you since high school, Jem. This isn't you. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with an alert. Mom was in the study trying to access my computer. I have to go, I said, standing. Gemma, wait. Gideon caught my hand. Just remember who you are. Don't let revenge change that. I pulled away, but his words followed me down to my car. On the drive to the house, I thought about Grandma's journal, about karma and consequences. Mom was back in her room when I arrived, looking innocent as a lamb. But the security logs told a different story. Attempted computer access, photographed documents, suspicious phone calls. Everything okay? She called out as I passed her door. Perfect, I replied, thinking of the trap closing around her, step by step. Everything's just perfect. But later, lying in bed, Gideon's words echoed in my head. This isn't you. Maybe not. But then again, maybe this was exactly who I needed to be to finally break free from her web of manipulation. Tomorrow would bring phase 3, and then we'd see who had learned the better lessons about deception. She's meeting with investors today, Devon announced, bursting into my office. 3 of them, at the Blue Lotus restaurant. I glanced at my watch. Right on schedule. Is everything set up? Tiffany's already there with the hidden camera. And guess who else showed up? He slid his phone across my desk, showing security footage from the restaurant's entrance. Your old friend Marcus. My stomach tightened at the sight of Mom's former partner, the man who'd helped her con so many people before. She's really getting the band back together. Want me to call it off? Devon asked. This is getting serious. No. I stood up, grabbing my coat. This is exactly what we need. Send me the live feed. The Blue Lotus was packed when I arrived, but I spotted Mom immediately at a corner table, holding court with 4 well-dressed people. Marcus sat beside her, looking exactly as sleazy as I remembered. Table for 1? The hostess asked. Actually, I'm meeting someone. I headed toward the bar where Tiffany sat nursing a martini, her phone propped up to record the meeting. You won't believe what they're promising these people, she whispered as I slid onto the stool beside her. 5-star hotels at 3-star prices, guaranteed returns of 30%. Just like Singapore, I muttered, watching Mom gesture enthusiastically. Same scam, different country. My phone buzzed. Gideon. Are you sure about this? It's not too late to stop. I ignored the message, focusing on Mom's table. One of the investors was already pulling out his checkbook. Now, I said to Tiffany. She pressed a button on her phone. Across the restaurant, Mom's phone rang. She excused herself and stepped away from the table. Hello, she answered. Mrs. Myers? Tiffany disguised her voice perfectly. This is Sandra from First National Bank's fraud department. We're calling about some suspicious transactions. I watched Mom's face pale as Tiffany spun her tale about investigations and frozen accounts. By the time she hung up, her hands were shaking. Showtime, I whispered, standing up. Gemma. Mom's voice pitched higher when she saw me approaching. What a surprise. I was just having lunch with some old friends. Old friends like Marcus? I smiled coldly. The same Marcus who helped you run investment scams in 3 states. The investors at the table stopped talking, looking between us. Darling, you're confused, Mom laughed nervously. We were just discussing some potential business opportunities, like the fake contracts you stole from my study. I pulled out my phone, showing the security footage of her photographing documents. Or maybe the forged signatures you've been practicing. Marcus stood up quickly. I should go. Sit down, I snapped. You're going to want to hear this too. The restaurant had grown quiet, other diners watching the drama unfold. Mom's perfect mask was cracking. These people deserve to know who they're really dealing with, I continued, my voice carrying. Should I tell them about Singapore, about the millions you stole, or about how you cleaned out your own daughter's bank account just last week? That's not. I was going to pay it back, Mom stammered. Like you paid back the others? The families you destroyed? The lives you ruined? One of the investors stood up, gathering his papers. I think we're done here. Wait! Mom grabbed his arm. I can explain everything. But they were already leaving, muttering about calling their lawyers. Marcus tried to slip away, but Tiffany blocked his path. The police would love to chat with you too, she said sweetly. They're right outside. Mum collapsed into her chair, her carefully constructed world crumbling. Why? She whispered. Why would you do this to me? Why? I leaned close, letting her see all the years of pain and betrayal in my eyes. Because you taught me well, Mother. You taught me that family means nothing when there's money to be made. You taught me that trust is just another tool for manipulation. I'm your mother. No, I cut her off. You're a con artist who happened to give birth to me. And now everyone knows it. As if on cue, 2 police officers entered the restaurant. Mum's eyes darted around, looking for escape routes. Don't worry, I said, stepping back. They're not here for you. Yet. Consider this a preview of coming attractions. I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. I really was going to pay you back this time, she said softly. I really was trying to change. For a moment I almost believed her. Almost fell for the trembling lip, the tears, the perfect performance of a repentant mother. Almost. Goodbye, Mom, I said, walking away. Enjoy the master suite while you can. The real show hasn't even started yet. The security feed showed Mom pacing in the master suite, making frantic phone calls. It had been 3 days since the restaurant incident, and her world was collapsing piece by piece. Another investor filed a police report, Tiffany announced, walking into my office. That makes 4. And Marcus? I asked, not looking away from the screen, singing like a canary. Turns out he kept records of everything, including Singapore. My phone lit up with Mum's 20th call attempt of the day. This time I answered. Gemma, please, she started, her voice cracking. We need to talk. Come to my office, 1 hour. I hung up and texted Gideon. It's time. Mum arrived exactly on time, wearing the same designer outfit from her first day back. But now it looked rumpled, like she'd slept in it. Sit, I said, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. Darling, I know you're angry. Angry? I laughed, pulling out a folder. Let's talk about angry. Here's a statement from your Singapore victims. A family of 5 who lost everything. The father had a heart attack when he discovered what you'd done. She flinched. I didn't know. Or how about this? I pulled out another document. The elderly couple in Miami who had to sell their home. Or the single mom in Chicago who lost her children's college fund. Stop, she whispered. Why? Isn't this what you wanted to discuss? Your greatest hits? I spread the papers across the desk. And let's not forget your latest masterpiece, stealing from your own daughter. I was desperate. The investment opportunity was a scam, I finished. Just like everything else in your life. She stood up, pacing. What do you want from me, Gemma? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry for everything. No, you're sorry you got caught. I pressed a button on my phone, and the office TV flickered to life, showing security footage from the master suite. Sorry I recorded every phone call, every meeting, every attempt to set up new cons. Mum's face went white. You've been watching me, learning from the best, I smiled. Isn't that what you always wanted? For me to follow in your footsteps? The police already have copies of everything, along with statements from your old victims, Marcus's records, and evidence of your latest attempted scams. She collapsed back into the chair. Why? I'm your mother. Exactly. You were supposed to protect me, nurture me. Instead, you taught me that love is just another tool for manipulation. I stood up, walking around the desk. But Grandma taught me something too. About karma, about consequences. What are you going to do? I handed her an envelope. Inside is a one-way ticket to a small town in Montana. There's also enough money for 6 months' rent on a modest apartment. Montana? She looked horrified. But my life is here. Your life of cons is over. Take the ticket Disappear, start fresh, or don't, and I'll release everything to the media. Your choice. You wouldn't. I pulled out my phone, showing her the draft email to every major news outlet. Try me. Tears rolled down her face, real ones this time, not the calculated drop she usually deployed. I really did love you in my own way. I know. That's why I'm giving you a chance to walk away, more than you gave your other victims. The office door opened and Gideon walked in. Car's ready. Mum looked between us, clutching the envelope. When? Now. Gideon will drive you to the airport. She stood shakily, then reached for her designer purse. That stays, I said, along with everything else from the master suite. You start fresh, or not at all. For a moment I saw the real her, the scared woman behind the confident facade. She stepped toward me, arms raising for a hug, but I stepped back. Goodbye, Mum. She nodded once, tears still falling, and followed Gideon out. Tiffany came in after they left, holding 2 glasses of wine. You okay? I took a glass, watching through the window as Gideon's car pulled away. Did I just become her, using her own tricks against her? No, Tiffany said firmly. You gave her a chance to start over. That's more than she ever gave anyone else. My phone buzzed, a text from Gideon. She's in the car, still crying, real tears. It's really over, I whispered. Not quite, Tiffany said, pulling out Grandma's journal. There's still one more page you haven't read. I opened it to the marked page, seeing Grandma's familiar handwriting one last time. Remember, my dear, revenge might satisfy for a moment, but forgiveness liberates forever. The choice is yours. I closed the journal, thinking about Mum's tears, about karma and consequences, about the thin line between justice and vengeance. The choice was mine, but what would I choose? The small cafe in Montana looked exactly like it did in the surveillance photos. Through the window, I watched Mom wipe down tables, her designer clothes replaced by a simple black uniform. You sure about this? Gideon asked from the driver's seat. No, I admitted, but Grandma was right about forgiveness, even if Mom doesn't deserve it. Want me to come in? I shook my head. This is something I need to do alone. The bell chimed as I entered. Mum's back was to me as she restocked sugar packets. We're closing in 10 minutes, she said without turning around. Hello, Mom. She froze, then slowly turned. Gone was the perfect makeup, the calculated charm. She looked real. Gemma, her voice cracked. How did you find you? I never lost you. I sat at the counter. Coffee, please. Black. Her hands shook as she poured the cup. Are you here to check if I'm running cons again? No. The weekly reports from the private investigator do that. I took a sip. I'm here because of this. I pulled out an envelope and slid it across the counter. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me, all returned unopened. You got them, she whispered, all 23. I just couldn't read them. Until yesterday. Mum gripped the counter. And I believe you, about wanting to change, about being sorry. I pulled out another envelope. So I brought you something. She opened it carefully, gasping when she saw the contents. Grandma's silver mirror. The real one this time, not the replica from the master suite. Why? Because healing has to start somewhere. I met her eyes. But there are conditions. She sat down heavily. Of course. First, you stay here. Keep working. Keep building an honest life. I pulled out a folder. Second, you help me make things right with your victims, starting with the family in Singapore. How? I've set up a restitution fund from the hotel profits. You'll contribute 20% of your salary. It won't fix everything, but it's a start. Tears welled in her eyes. Genuine ones, like at the office that day. And what about us? That's the third condition. I took a deep breath. Complete honesty. No more cons, no more manipulation. Just truth. Even if it hurts, especially then. She touched the mirror gently. Did I ever tell you why I started running cons? No. Your father. She paused. He left us with nothing. I was 22, with a baby and empty bank accounts. I promised myself no one would ever make me feel that helpless again. So you made others feel helpless instead. She flinched. Yes, and somewhere along the way I forgot the difference between protecting myself and hurting others, including you. The cafe's lights flickered. Closing time. I have to go, I said, standing, but I'll be back next month, if you want. To check on me. To have coffee. To talk. To try. She came around the counter, stopping just short of reaching for me. I don't deserve a second chance. No, I agreed, but I deserve the chance to heal, and maybe this is how it starts. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Mom, happy birthday. Her hand flew to her mouth. You remembered. I remember everything. The good and the bad. That's what makes this so hard and so important. Outside, Gideon was waiting. How'd it go? I looked back through the window. Mom was holding Grandma's mirror, crying quietly. She's different, I said. Really different. People can change, he said softly, if they want to badly enough. My phone buzzed. A text from Tiffany. Did you give her the mirror? Yes, I typed back. And maybe something more important, a chance. As we drove away, I thought about Grandma's last words in her journal. About karma and consequences, yes, but also about choice. About choosing to break cycles instead of perpetuating them. You know, Gideon said as we hit the highway, your grandmother would be proud of sending Mum into exile, of giving her a path to redemption. That's more than she gave herself. I touched my pocket, feeling the single letter I'd kept, Mum's latest one, describing her first honest paycheck, her small apartment, her attempts to make amends. Maybe revenge wasn't about destroying someone. Maybe sometimes it was about forcing them to face themselves, to change, to grow. And maybe, just maybe, that change could heal us both. Let's go home, I said, watching the cafe disappear in the rearview mirror. We've got work to do. The restitution fund wouldn't build itself, and somewhere in Singapore, a family was about to receive an unexpected letter of apology, along with the first of many payments toward making things right. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was a beginning. Some photographs have the power to shatter your entire world. The one in my hands, torn precisely down the middle, with my father's image brutally excised, did exactly that. I'm Ella, and until 10 minutes ago, I thought I was just doing my mother a favor by organizing her dresser drawers while she recovered from minor surgery. Now, standing in her bedroom with trembling hands, I realize I've stumbled onto something far more sinister. What are you doing in here? Mother's voice cuts through the air like a whip. She's standing in the doorway, one hand gripping her walking cane, the other pressed against the doorframe. For someone who's supposed to be resting, she moves remarkably fast. I found this. I hold up the mutilated photograph. Care to explain why you're literally cutting Dad out of our family history? Her face hardens. Put that back where you found it. No, I want to know why. And where are all the other photos? The ones from my graduation, my 16th birthday, that summer in Maine? Those memories aren't relevant anymore. She limps into the room, her designer nightgown swishing against the hardwood floor. Your father isn't part of our lives now. We have Alan. We have Megan. We've moved forward. Moved forward? The words taste bitter in my mouth. You're trying to erase him, like he never existed. Don't be dramatic, Ella. It doesn't suit you. She reaches for the photograph, but I pull it away. Your father chose his path when he refused to adapt to our lifestyle. He couldn't handle success, couldn't handle moving up in the world. He was content being ordinary. Being honest, you mean? He didn't want to play social climbing games with Alan's crowd. Her laugh is sharp, dismissive. Is that what he told you? Your father was weak. He held us back. Alan gave us everything. This house, your education, the connections that got you your job at the tech company. Dad paid for my education, I snap. Every penny of it. Through the alimony you demanded. Something flickers across her face. Guilt, fear, it's gone before I can identify it. You're being ridiculous. Now give me that photograph and go home. Ryan must be wondering where you are. Ryan knows exactly where I am. And he knows what you're like. I carefully fold the photograph and slip it into my pocket. You know what's interesting, Mother? You're so focused on erasing Dad that you didn't notice what else was in that drawer. She freezes. What are you talking about? The bank statements. The ones showing where Dad's alimony payments really went. Not to my education, but to Alan's failing business ventures. I watched the colour drain from her face. Funny how that worked out, isn't it? You had no right to look at those documents. Her voice shakes with rage. Those are private matters between Alan and me. Private fraud, you mean? Because I'm pretty sure the court would be interested in knowing how you've been misappropriating those funds. She straightens, her chin lifting. Are you threatening me? I'm stating facts, just like you stated facts about Dad being ordinary and weak. The difference is, I have proof. Get out. She points toward the door with a trembling finger. Get out of my house right now, and don't come back until you've learned some respect. I walk past her, pausing in the doorway. You know what the real difference is between you and Dad. He never had to destroy someone else to feel worthy. As I drive home, the torn photograph burns in my pocket like a brand. My hands grip the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. I always knew my mother was capable of cruelty, but this systematic erasure of my father, this calculated destruction of his presence in our family history, it's different, it's war. And if she wants war, I'll give her one. Because some things are worth fighting for, and some betrayals can never be forgiven. The truth is, I'm my father's daughter, and like him, I know how to play the long game. The crystal wine glasses clink with artificial cheer as Alan raises his for yet another toast. Father's Day dinner at their mansion, a tradition Mother insists on maintaining, despite having effectively exiled my actual father from our lives. To family, Alan announces, his cultured voice carrying across the formal dining room. And to new beginnings, I catch Megan rolling her eyes across the table. At least my half-sister sees through this charade. Ryan squeezes my hand under the table, a silent anchor keeping me from drowning in the hypocrisy. Speaking of new beginnings, Mother says, dabbing her lips with a monogrammed napkin. Ella, darling, I heard through Caroline that the Peterson Group is looking for a project manager, much more suitable than your current position. I'm leading my own team at Oracle Tech, Mother. I don't need the Petersons' nepotism. Don't be naive. Connections are everything in this world. Look how well Alan's guidance helped you secure your current role. Ryan stiffens beside me. He'd recommended me for the position, not Alan. Before I can correct her, Mother continues. Besides, the Petersons' son Thomas is recently divorced. He always had a soft spot for you in high school. I'm engaged, I remind her, twisting the diamond ring on my finger. To Ryan, remember? Of course, dear, but engagements can be fluid. One should always keep their options open. The silence that follows is deafening. Ryan's fork scrapes against his plate with deliberate precision. Mother, Megan interjects, maybe we could talk about something else, like my study abroad plans. Ah, yes, Mother brightens immediately. Alan and I have been discussing your future. Cambridge would be perfect for you. We've already spoken to the dean. Cambridge? I set down my wine glass. That's expensive, even with Dad's alimony. Your father's contributions are irrelevant, Mother cuts in sharply. We have everything arranged. A sudden horrible suspicion takes root. With what money exactly? That's hardly dinner conversation, Alan interrupts smoothly. More wine, anyone? No. I push back my chair. I want to know, because Dad's been sending regular payments for my education fund. Where did that money go? Mother's face hardens. Ella, you're making a scene. Answer the question. Your education fund has been reallocated. Megan's future takes priority now. You're established, with a adequate career. Ryan stands abruptly. We should go. Sit down, Mother commands. Both of you. We haven't finished discussing your career options, Ella. The Petersons are irrelevant, I finish. Just like Dad's contributions were irrelevant. Just like my future is irrelevant. You're being dramatic. Again. Mother sighs theatrically. This is why we worry about you, dear. Such emotional instability. Perhaps you should consider therapy before making any permanent decisions about marriage. Ryan's chair scrapes back. Mrs. Harrison, with all due respect. That's quite enough, Alan interrupts. Ella, your mother only wants what's best for you. Sometimes that means making difficult decisions. Like stealing my education fund for Megan. The words explode out of me. Or using Dad's alimony to prop up your failing business ventures. The colour drains from Alan's face. Mother's wine glass trembles in her hand. How dare you, she whispers. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done to me, I correct her, and to Dad, and now to Megan. It never ends with you, does it? Megan looks between us, confusion clouding her features. What's she talking about, Mom? Nothing, darling. Your sister is just having one of her episodes. Episodes? I laugh bitterly. Is that what we're calling the truth now? I stand, pulling Ryan with me. Enjoy Cambridge, Megan. I hope it's worth the price. Ella, Mother calls as we reach the door. If you walk out now, don't expect to be welcome back. I turn, meeting her gaze. Don't worry, Mother. I wouldn't dream of interrupting your perfect new family again. But remember, karma has a way of balancing the books. As Ryan drives us home, the torn photograph in my pocket seems to burn with new intensity. Mother thinks she's won, that she's successfully erased Dad and replaced him with her gilded new life. She has no idea what's coming, because now I have proof of her financial manipulation, and more importantly, I have nothing left to lose. The game is just beginning. The financial records spread across my kitchen table tell a story of systematic betrayal. Each bank statement, each transfer notification, each carefully hidden transaction forms another piece of the puzzle I've spent weeks assembling. Ryan enters, setting down 2 cups of coffee. You need to see this, I tell him, pushing forward a particular document. Look at the dates. He studies the paper, his jaw tightening. The same day your dad made his alimony payment. Every month for the past 3 years, Mother transferred the exact amount to Alan's business account within hours of receiving it. My fingers trace the numbers. Dad's been working double shifts to make these payments, thinking they were for my education fund. Have you told him? The question hangs heavy in the air. How do you tell someone their ex-wife has been stealing from them for years? My phone buzzes. A text from Megan. Mum's freaking out, says you've been accessing private accounts. What's going on? Before I can respond, Mother's name flashes on my screen. I let it ring. You'll have to face her eventually, Ryan says. I know, but first I need to talk to Dad. Dad's apartment building hasn't changed since the divorce. Same cracked steps, same flickering hallway lights. He opens the door, wearing his mechanic's uniform, grease still under his fingernails. Ella, everything okay, sweetheart? I hold up the folder of documents. We need to talk. His face falls as I lay out the evidence. Each revelation hits him like a physical blow. The diverted payments, Alan's failing business, Mother's elaborate web of lies. I should have known, he says finally, his voice hollow. When Laura started demanding more alimony, claiming it was for your future, he rubs his face. I was so focused on making sure you had opportunities, I didn't question it. Dad, this isn't your fault. Isn't it? I knew what your mother was like, how she'd do anything to maintain her lifestyle. He picks up one of the bank statements. Does Alan know? He's complicit. They've been working together to... My phone interrupts, Mother's name appearing again. This time I answer. How dare you? Her voice trembles with rage. Breaking into private accounts, spreading lies about your family. They're not lies if I have proof. Proof? You have nothing but misinterpreted documents and your own bitter imagination. If you continue with these ridiculous accusations, you'll what? Cut me off? Steal more money? Try to sabotage my relationship again. I'm trying to protect you, she hisses. You have no idea what you're doing. If you pursue this, there will be consequences. For everyone. Dad gently takes the phone. Hello, Laura. His voice is steady, controlled. I think it's time we had a conversation about fraud. The silence on the other end is deafening. I've worked every available shift for 3 years to provide for our daughter's future, he continues. If you think I won't pursue legal action... Frank, she cuts in, her tone suddenly honeyed. Surely we can discuss this reasonably, like adults, without involving lawyers or making hasty decisions. The time for discussion was before you started stealing from our daughter. Stealing. I was investing in our family's future. Alan's business ventures are failing, I interrupt, leaning toward the phone. Just like everything else built on lies. You ungrateful child. After everything we've done for you, save it, Dad says. Expect to hear from my lawyer. As he ends the call, my phone immediately lights up with texts from Megan. Mom's hysterical. Alan's threatening to sue. What did you do? I show Dad the messages. This is just the beginning, isn't it? He nods grimly. Your mother won't go down without a fight. Are you sure you want to do this? I think of the torn photograph, still in my pocket, of years of manipulation and lies, of Dad working himself to exhaustion while Mother and Alan lived in luxury. Some things are worth fighting for, I tell him, echoing his words from years ago. And some people need to learn that actions have consequences. My phone buzzes again, an email from Mother's lawyer. The war has officially begun, but this time, I'm ready for battle. The lawyer's office feels too small for the weight of what I'm about to learn. Dad sits beside me, his weathered hands clasped tightly in his lap, while his attorney, Marcus Chen, reviews the documents we've gathered. This goes beyond simple misappropriation, Marcus says, spreading out the financial records. They've been systematically... A knock interrupts us. His secretary peers in. Sorry, but there's an urgent call from the Harrison residence. Mrs. Harrison insists it's an emergency. I share a look with Dad. Put it through. Megan's voice fills the room, breathless and panicked. Ella, you need to come home right now. Mom's selling everything. Your old stuff, the family albums, everything from before Alan. She says if you want to play hardball, she'll make sure there's nothing left of your past to fight for. My throat tightens. What do you mean, selling? There's an estate sale company here. They're pricing Frank's, old desk, your childhood books, even Mom's wedding ring from him. She says it's all just worthless baggage now. Marcus raises an eyebrow, making notes. Dad's knuckles whiten. Try to stall them, I tell Megan. I'm on my way. There's more, she adds, voice dropping. I overheard Mum on the phone with Cambridge. She's using your old college fund, what's left of it, as a deposit for my tuition. She says it's only fair since you're trying to destroy the family. The familiar gates of the Harrison estate mock me as I pull up 30 minutes later. The circular driveway is lined with expensive cars, vultures disguised as antique dealers, picking through the bones of my childhood. Mother stands in the foyer, directing workers with regal efficiency. Her face hardens when she sees me. Come to survey the damage. She gestures to a pile of tagged items. Amazing how much worthless junk one accumulates over the years. I spot Dad's desk among the items, the one he built by hand for my 13th birthday. The price tag reads $50. This isn't about the money anymore, is it? I ask quietly. Oh, but it is. You want to talk about stolen funds? Let's discuss how much your father's inadequacies cost this family. Years of living below our potential, of making do with less than we deserved. We were happy. You were ignorant. She picks up a photo album, carelessly flipping pages. Look at these. Camping trips in a borrowed tent. Birthday parties at fast food restaurants. Is that what you're fighting so hard to preserve? Those memories are real, unlike everything you've built here. Real doesn't pay for Cambridge, she snaps. Real doesn't secure Megan's future. I learned that lesson with you. Sentiment is worthless in this world. A worker approaches with Dad's desk. Where do you want this, Mrs. Harrison? The dumpster will do. Stop. My voice shakes. That desk isn't yours to sell. Everything here belongs to me now. Alan made sure of that in the divorce settlement. Her smile turns cruel. Speaking of Alan, he's fascinated by your little investigation, especially the part where you accessed private company records. His lawyers are quite interested in pursuing corporate espionage charges. The threat lands like a physical blow. My job, my future with Ryan, everything I've worked for. She'd destroy it all to maintain control. Megan appears at the top of the stairs, her face pale. Mum, please. This is going too far. Stay out of this, darling. Your sister needs to learn that actions have consequences. I look around at the dismantled pieces of my past, the books Dad read to me, the photos of happier times, the handmade furniture that represented his love, all reduced to price tags and profit margins. You're right, I say finally. Actions do have consequences, and you've just shown me exactly what needs to be done. I pull out my phone, dialing Marcus's number. Proceed with everything we discussed, all of it. Mother's smile falters. What are you doing? Teaching you about consequences. I meet her gaze steadily. You wanted a war? Congratulations. You've got one. As I walk out, Megan calls after me. I turn to see her holding Dad's desk. I'll keep it safe, she promises. For the first time, I see something of myself in my half-sister, a reflection of the same pain, the same determination to survive our mother's machinations. The game has changed. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about justice. Marcus's words hit like hammer blows in the conference room. They filed a restraining order. You can't go within 500 feet of the Harrison estate or contact Laura directly. On what grounds? Harassment, emotional distress, potential corporate espionage. He adjusts his glasses. Alan's lawyers are aggressive. They're also freezing any remaining joint accounts and assets pending investigation. Ryan squeezes my hand under the table. Can they do that? They can try. Marcus shuffles through papers. But that's not the worst part. They're claiming Frank's alimony payments were voluntary gifts, not court-ordered support. If it sticks, my phone buzzes. Megan, Mom's having movers pack up your remaining things. Says you have an hour to collect them or they're going to charity. I stand abruptly. This is exactly what she wants. To force my hand, make me violate the order. Don't give her the satisfaction, Dad says quietly. Another text from Megan. She's throwing out your graduation photos. Ryan catches my arm. I'll go. The order doesn't apply to me. No. I pull away. This ends now. The drive to the Harrison estate feels like a descent into enemy territory. I park across the street, technically outside the restriction zone, and watch the movers cart box after box to a waiting truck. Mother appears on the front steps, directing traffic like a conductor, orchestrating her revenge symphony. She spots my car and smiles, pulling out her phone, presumably to call the police. My own phone rings. Alan. You're making this worse for yourself, he says without preamble. Like you made it worse for Dad, stealing his alimony payments for your failing business ventures. That money was an investment in this family's future. Your future, if you'd been smart enough to see it. My future? I laugh bitterly. You mean like the future you promised Dad's desk had at the dump? Speaking of futures, his voice turns silky. I had an interesting conversation with Thomas Peterson yesterday about certain proprietary information that might have been compromised during your investigation. The threat is clear. My career, everything I've built, balanced on a knife's edge. What do you want? Drop the lawsuit, sign a non-disclosure agreement, accept that your mother knows what's best for this family. Through the windshield, I watch Mother supervise the disposal of my life. A photo album falls, spilling memories across the driveway. She doesn't even glance down. You have until tomorrow to decide, Alan continues. After that, the Petersons will be very interested in reviewing Oracle Tech's security protocols. The line goes dead as a police cruiser pulls up. Mother's smile widens as she points toward my car. My phone buzzes again. Megan, found something you need to see. Meet me at Riverside Park in 20 minutes. Come alone. The park is deserted when I arrive. Megan sits on our old favourite bench, clutching a leather portfolio. I took this from Mum's study, she says without looking up. It's everything. Documents, letters, photos she didn't destroy. There's even stuff about Alan's company that, well, you should see for yourself. Why are you helping me? She finally meets my eyes. Because yesterday she started talking about my future the same way she used to talk about yours, about suitable matches and social obligations and living up to the Harrison name. I saw my whole life mapped out in her words, and her voice cracks. I don't want to become her next project. I open the portfolio. Inside, years of carefully documented manipulation unfold in Mother's precise handwriting. Bank statements, investment records, correspondence with Alan's lawyers dating back to before the divorce. There's more, Megan whispers, about what really happened when she left Dad, your dad. It wasn't like she told everyone. My hands shake as I turn the pages, each revelation worse than the last, building a picture of calculated destruction that spans decades. What are you going to do? Megan asks. I close the portfolio, decision crystallizing like ice in my veins. Exactly what she taught me to do. Play the long game. Because Mother's greatest lesson wasn't about social climbing or maintaining appearances. It was about patience, and revenge is a dish best served cold. 6 months of careful planning collapse with a single email from Oracle Tech's HR department. My hands shake as I read it again. Pending investigation into allegations of corporate espionage, immediate suspension, required to surrender all company devices. Ryan stands in our kitchen doorway, his own termination notice in hand. Alan must have friends on the board, or Mother pulled strings through the Peterson connection. I close my laptop. We both know she never does anything halfway. My phone lights up. Megan's third call today. I let it go to voicemail, like the others. After last week's revelation about her role in monitoring my activities for Mother, trust feels like a luxury I can't afford. Marcus called, Ryan says quietly. The restraining order's been extended. They're adding harassment charges over the portfolio documents Megan gave you, which conveniently disappeared from evidence. I laugh, hollow and sharp. Another setup. I should have seen it coming. The doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see 2 police officers. My stomach drops. Miss Harrison, one holds up a warrant. We need you to come with us. The interrogation room is cold, sterile. Detective Morris slides photos across the table. Screenshots of emails I never sent, financial transactions I never made, meetings I never attended. These paint a concerning picture, she says. Industrial espionage, fraud, harassment. Mr. Harrison's company lost millions due to leaked information. Those documents are forged, like the portfolio your sister gave you, the one you claim disappeared. She raises an eyebrow. Your mother's quite concerned about your mental state, says you've been fabricating conspiracy theories, making threats. Of course she does. She's offered to drop charges if you agree to psychiatric evaluation and treatment. The pieces click into place. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about discrediting me completely. Dad meets me outside the police station, looking older than I've ever seen him. I mortgaged my apartment to post bail, he says. It was all I could do. I'm sorry. The words feel inadequate. I never meant to drag you into this. You didn't. Laura did, years ago. He hands me an envelope. This came for you at my place. Inside is a letter from Cambridge University, confirming Megan's enrollment, funded by the last of my education trust. Below that, a note in Mother's elegant script. Some lessons require sacrifice. Consider this your final education in family loyalty. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Mom knows about Ryan's startup plans. Says she'll make sure no investor touches it. Please, just stop fighting her. Megan. That night, Ryan holds me as I finally break down. We've lost everything, I whisper. Our jobs, our savings, your company's future, all because I couldn't let it go. We haven't lost each other, he says, but there's a hesitation in his voice that wasn't there before. Morning brings more devastating news. Marcus calls early. Alan's lawyers are pushing for criminal charges. With the fabricated evidence they've planted, you're looking at serious jail time unless I agree to Mother's terms. Psychiatric commitment, a full retraction, and a binding agreement never to contact any member of the Harrison family again. He pauses, including Megan. I stand at our apartment window, watching the sun rise over a world that seems to be closing in from all sides. Mother's chess pieces are perfectly arranged, my career destroyed, my reputation in tatters, my relationship strained, and my freedom hanging by a thread. The torn photograph sits on my desk, Dad's missing half a reminder of everything that's been taken. But as I stare at Mother's smiling face in the remaining piece, something shifts inside me. She taught me well, about patience, about planning, about the art of destruction. But she forgot one crucial lesson. Sometimes you have to lose everything to see what really matters. My phone buzzes again. Another unknown number. Not all evidence disappeared. Some copies still exist. Meet tonight if you want the truth. A friend. It's probably another trap. But at this point, with everything stripped away, I have nothing left to lose. And nothing is more dangerous than someone with nothing left to lose. The Harrison estate's security lights cast long shadows across the manicured lawn as I approach the garden gate. My mysterious informant chose midnight for our meeting, fitting for what feels like my last stand. Instead of a stranger, I find Megan perched on the stone bench, clutching a laptop. Her hands tremble as she opens it. I made copies, she whispers, of everything, the real documents, not Mother's fabricated versions, including what she did to Alan's first wife. Before I can respond, floodlights blast the garden in harsh white light. Mother emerges from the shadows, Alan close behind. I'm disappointed, Megan. Mother's voice carries that familiar note of calculated disapproval. Though I suppose betrayal runs in your sister's blood. It's over, Laura. I step between her and Megan. The truth's coming out, all of it. Truth, she laughs softly. You still don't understand, do you? Truth is whatever people believe. And right now, they believe you're an unstable, vindictive daughter who couldn't handle her parents' divorce. Show her, Megan says quietly. I open the laptop, turning it toward Mother and Alan. Karen Harrison's suicide note. The original version, not the one you doctored for the police. She knew about the embezzlement, didn't she? About how you and Alan were stealing from her family's company. Alan's face drains of color. Mother's smile hardens. You drove her to kill herself, I continue, then used her death to gain control of the company shares. Just like you tried to destroy Dad, and now me. Careful, Ella. Mother's hand slides into her pocket. Some accusations can't be taken back. I already sent copies to the police, and the SEC, and Karen's family. You're bluffing. Am I? You taught me well, Mother, about patience, about keeping evidence, about playing the long game. She pulls out her phone. One call and your father loses everything. His job, his apartment, what's left of his reputation. Already taken care of, Megan interjects. I transferred enough proof to his lawyer to protect him. It's done, Mom. Mother turns on her, fury crackling through her composed facade. After everything I've done for you, the opportunities, the connections, your future. My future? Megan stands. You mean like Karen's future, or Ella's, or anyone else who got in your way? Alan, Mother snaps, call security. But Alan backs away, his carefully constructed world crumbling. The SEC? Karen's family? His voice cracks. What have you done, Laura? What I had to do, for us, for our family. There is no us, I say quietly. There never was, just your next move, your next victim, your next scheme. Police lights flash at the front gate. Mother's mask finally shatters. You ungrateful little... She lunges for the laptop. I sidestep, letting her momentum carry her forward. She stumbles, catching herself against the stone bench. For a moment, our eyes meet, and I see something I've never seen before in her gaze. Fear. I learned from the best, I tell her. About sacrifice, about loyalty, about consequences. The police are in the garden now, reading rights, securing evidence. Alan goes quietly, already negotiating. But Mother stands frozen, watching her carefully constructed world collapse. You'll regret this, she hisses as they lead her away. Both of you, you're nothing without me. Nothing. Megan's hand finds mine in the chaos. I'm sorry, she whispers, for everything, for helping her spy on you, for not speaking up sooner. You did now. That's what matters. As the police lights fade, we sit on the garden bench, surrounded by the ruins of Mother's empire. Dawn breaks over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of possibility. What happens now? Megan asks. I think of Dad, finally free from Mother's threats. Of Ryan, waiting at home. Of the truth, long buried but finally unearthed. Now we build something new, I tell her, something real. Because in the end, Mother's greatest lesson wasn't about revenge or manipulation, it was about choice. And tonight, we chose truth over power, justice over vengeance, and each other over everything else. That's a lesson she never understood. The courthouse steps feel colder than they should in spring. Mother stands at the top, designer suit exchanged for prison orange, as the guards lead her toward the transport van. Her eyes find mine in the crowd. For a moment, I see past the mask, past the carefully constructed facade of control and superiority. I see something raw, something almost human. Then it's gone, replaced by that familiar steel. Even in defeat, she refuses to break. She took a plea deal, Marcus says beside me. 15 years, plus restitution to Karen Harrison's family and your father. And Alan. 5 years, reduced sentence for cooperation. The SEC is still unraveling the financial web. Dad approaches, looking lighter than I've seen him in years. The weight of Mother's manipulation finally lifted from his shoulders. Ready to go? Almost. I turn to Megan, who's been quiet all morning. You sure about this? She nods, clutching the envelope containing her withdrawn acceptance to Cambridge. I need to find my own path, not Mother's version of it. The four of us, Dad, Ryan, Megan, and I, walk away from the courthouse together. Not the family Mother tried to erase, but something new, something real. At home, I find the torn photograph on my desk. Mother's half smiles up at me, still trying to control the narrative even from prison. I take Dad's half from my drawer, carefully aligning the torn edges. The doorbell rings. A courier holds out a package. One last delivery from Mother's lawyers. Inside, I find a single sheet of paper in her elegant handwriting. You think you've won. Perhaps you have. But remember who taught you to play the game. Remember whose daughter you really are. Someday you'll understand why I did everything I did. Someday you'll thank me. Ryan finds me in the kitchen, the letter crumpled in my fist. You okay? She still thinks this was all about winning. I smooth out the paper, about power and control and making people bend to your will. Wasn't it? About revenge? I thought so at first. I look at the restored photograph, not just the image, but the truth it represents. But it was about something else, something she never understood. The sound of laughter drifts in from the living room, where Dad and Megan are assembling furniture for her new apartment. Simple, honest work. Real connections. I take Mother's letter to the sink and strike a match. The paper curls and blackens, her final attempt at manipulation turning to ash. You know what the hardest part is? I tell Ryan as we watch it burn. Part of me still loves her. Part of me always will. But I finally understand. Love shouldn't require sacrifice. It shouldn't demand destruction. So what now? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. A news alert. Alan's company stocks are plummeting as more revelations emerge. The empire Mother built on lies and manipulation is crumbling. But that's not my concern anymore. I head to the living room, where Dad is teaching Megan how to sand wood properly, just like he taught me years ago. Their laughter mingles with the scent of sawdust and possibility. Need another set of hands? I ask. Dad looks up, his smile reaching his eyes. Always room for one more. As we work, I think about Mother's words. Remember whose daughter you really are. She meant it as a reminder of her influence, her lessons in power and control. But watching Dad show Megan the same patience and care he showed me, I realize I am my father's daughter. And that's the victory Mother never saw coming. Not revenge or destruction or power games won, but this, the simple act of building something true, something that can't be torn apart or erased or manipulated, something that will last. I take the restored photograph and pin it to the wall, not as a reminder of what was lost, but as proof of what can be rebuilt. Whole, unbroken, real. Mother taught me how to tear things down. Dad taught me how to build them back up. In the end, that made all the difference.
The old video player whirred to life, spitting dust into the musty attic air. I hadn't meant to find it. This ancient recording of my second birthday party, labeled in my mother's perfect cursive. The girls, age 2. But here I was, cross-legged on the floor, watching my past unfold in grainy resolution. My name is Adelaide, and I'm about to show you the exact moment I realized why I never felt like I belonged in my own family. Look at Alyssa. She's just precious. My mother's voice cooed through the speakers. The camera panned across our living room, focusing on my twin sister in her pink party dress, perfectly curled pigtails bouncing as she danced. Such a natural performer, isn't she, Michael? Born for the spotlight, my father agreed, his voice warm with pride. The camera swung briefly to catch me in the corner, quietly stacking blocks into intricate patterns. No one commented on my engineering prowess. No one even seemed to notice I was there. Alyssa, sweetheart, show everyone your twirl. Mother's voice again, dripping with adoration. The camera stayed fixed on my sister as she spun, her dress floating around her like a cotton candy cloud. The assembled relatives clapped and cheered. I paused the video, studying the frozen frame. There I was, still in the background, looking up from my blocks with an expression I recognized all too well. Hope mixed with resignation. 15 years later, nothing had changed. Adelaide? Alyssa's voice carried up through the attic floor. Mother wants us downstairs for dinner. I quickly ejected the tape, shoving it into my jacket pocket. Coming. The dining room was a shrine to Alyssa's achievements, debate team trophies, dance recital photos, academic certificates. My robotics competition medals were conspicuously absent, probably still in the cardboard box where I'd left them last month. There you are, Mother said, barely glancing up from arranging the table settings. Alyssa, darling, tell everyone your news. My sister practically vibrated with excitement. I've been selected as a finalist for the Governor's Youth Leadership Award. That's wonderful, Father beamed, while Mother rushed to embrace her. We'll have to celebrate properly. Perhaps that weekend trip to the lake house we've been discussing? The videotape felt heavy in my pocket as I watched their performance of perfect family happiness. I'd won the state robotics championship last week. They'd forgotten to attend. Actually, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, I have news too. 3 pairs of eyes turned to me with varying degrees of interest. I've been invited to compete in the National Science Foundation's Young Inventors Showcase next month. Mother's smile tightened. That's nice, dear, but we were discussing Alyssa's achievement. The lake house weekend would be perfect timing before her award ceremony. The showcase is the same weekend, I said quietly. Well, surely you understand this is more important, Mother replied, her tone dismissive. Family should support each other in these moments. I felt something snap inside me, not violently, but with the quiet finality of a bridge cable giving way after years of strain. The video in my pocket wasn't just a relic anymore. It was evidence. "You're right," I said, standing up. "Families should support each other. All of the family." I walked out of the dining room, ignoring their calls to return. In my bedroom, I pulled out my laptop and typed Grace and Henry Carter into the search bar. My mother's parents, who I'd never met, but whose names I'd found scrawled on the back of an old photograph hidden in that same dusty attic. The first result was a recent article about their charitable foundation. They lived less than 2 hours away. Sometimes revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes it's about reconstruction, building something new from the ruins of what was broken. I had a feeling my grandparents might understand that better than anyone. Behind me, the dinner party continued, my absence barely noticed. But for the first time in 17 years, I didn't care. I had found my catalyst, and nothing would ever be the same. The robotics lab hummed with the sound of servos and excited chatter. My team had just qualified for the national championships, but I couldn't shake the weight of the email sitting in my inbox. My grandparents, the ones I'd never met, had responded to my carefully crafted message. "Adelaide, check this calibration." Marcus, my project partner, called out. "Something's off with the response time." I forced myself to focus on the robot's articulated arm, but my phone felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. The Carters wanted to meet me. This Sunday. They'd attached a photo of themselves at some charity gala, and the resemblance to my mother was unmistakable, except for the warmth in their eyes. "Earth to Adelaide." Marcus waved his hand in front of my face. "You okay? You've been spacing out all morning." Before I could answer, a familiar voice cut through the lab. "There's my brilliant sister." Alyssa stood in the doorway, her smile too wide, too perfect. Several heads turned. She had that effect on people. But I knew better. That smile meant trouble. "What are you doing here?" I asked, setting down my tools. "Can't I support my twins' achievements?" She glanced around the lab, her nose wrinkling slightly at the smell of solder and machine oil. "Mother and Father are hosting a dinner party tonight. Important clients. They want both of us there." Of course they did. The perfect family image needed both twins, even the less sparkly one. "I have to finish this calibration." "It wasn't a request, Adelaide." Her voice dropped lower, meant just for me. "Mother's already upset about you skipping family dinner last week. Don't make this worse." I looked at our robot, then at Marcus's concerned face. "Give me 20 minutes. "You have 10, Alyssa said, already turning to leave, "and wear something presentable." The dinner party was exactly as I expected. A carefully orchestrated performance of family perfection. Mother's real estate clients cooed over her darling twins, while Father talked property values and market trends. "Alyssa's been accepted to several Ivy League schools already," Mother announced over the main course. Early decision, of course. "And Adelaide?" someone asked. "Will you girls be attending college together?" Before I could answer, Alyssa jumped in. "Oh, Adelaide's more interested in technical schools. She's quite good with machines." The way she said it made it sound like I fixed toasters for a living. "Actually," I said, setting down my fork, "I've been offered a full scholarship to MIT's summer engineering program, and the robotics team I lead just qualified for nationals." The table fell silent. Mother's smile flickered. This wasn't part of the script. "How wonderful," one of the clients said, genuinely impressed. "Two such accomplished daughters." "Yes," Father said quickly, "though we're hoping Adelaide will consider more traditional options. The family business needs a steady hand for the future, and Alyssa's leadership skills." "My robot can perform microsurgery," I interrupted. "I designed the control interface myself." Alyssa's water glass hit the table too hard, splashing onto the pristine tablecloth. "Nobody wants a robot operating on them, Adelaide. People trust people. The medical community disagrees. In fact, girls, Mother's voice carried a warning edge. Perhaps we should discuss college plans another time. Later, as the guests were leaving, Alyssa cornered me in the kitchen. What was that about? What was what about? You know exactly what. You're trying to overshadow me. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. That's rich coming from you. I've spent 17 years in your shadow. Oh, please, you've always had your little projects, but now you're deliberately trying to steal my moment. The Leadership Award, college acceptance. Your moment? When has it ever not been your moment? You're just jealous because what? I stepped closer, feeling 17 years of suppressed anger bubbling up. Because mother and father actually see you? Because they've never once forgotten to attend your events? Because they're planning your future while treating mine like an inconvenient hobby? Alyssa's face paled. That's not fair. No, I agreed, pulling out my phone and opening the email from my grandparents. It's not fair at all, but things are about to change. I left her standing there, staring after me as I headed upstairs. Sunday couldn't come fast enough. Let them have their perfect family dinner parties. I was done playing my assigned role in their carefully constructed fantasy. In my room, I pulled out the old videotape and added it to my growing collection of evidence. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's happiness. It's about finally claiming your own. The Carter mansion loomed before me, its Georgian columns a stark contrast to our cookie-cutter suburban home. My hands trembled as I pressed the intercom button, half expecting to wake up from this surreal moment. Adelaide? A warm voice crackled through the speaker. Come in, sweetheart. The gates swung open silently. I'd told my parents I was at a robotics workshop. They hadn't even looked up from their phones. Grace Carter met me at the door, and I froze. It was like seeing my mother's face with all the coldness stripped away, replaced with something I'd been starving for my entire life, genuine joy at seeing me. You look just like Karen did at your age, she said softly, pulling me into a hug that felt like coming home, though I suspect you're much wiser than she was. Henry Carter appeared behind her, his eyes crinkling with emotion. Welcome home, Adelaide. Home. The word hit me like a physical force. Over tea served in delicate cups that probably cost more than my laptop, they asked about my life, my interests, my dreams. They actually listened to my answers. When I mentioned the robotics competition, Henry's eyes lit up. I was an engineer before I went into business, he said, still tinker in my workshop. Would you like to see it? Before I could answer, Grace placed a leather-bound album on the table. First, there's something you should know about your mother. The photos told a story I'd never heard. My mother as a teenager, brilliant and driven, accepting academic awards. Karen was going to be a surgeon, Grace explained, full scholarship to medical school. What happened? She met your father. Henry's voice carried old pain. He convinced her that a medical career wouldn't leave time for a proper family life, that it wasn't feminine enough. We tried to reason with her, Grace continued, offered to support her through school, but she chose his vision of her future over her own. When we objected, she cut us out completely. I stared at a photo of my teenage mother, recognizing the same spark I saw in my own eyes when working on my robots. She gave up everything, and now she's doing the same to you, Henry said quietly. We've been watching, Adelaide. Your achievements, your potential. We won't let history repeat itself. A door slammed somewhere in the house, making us all jump. Footsteps approached rapidly. Mother? Father? Your housekeeper? Let me. My mother's voice died as she entered the room. She stood frozen, staring at me sitting between her parents. Adelaide, what are you doing here? The better question, Grace said, rising, is what are you doing here, Karen, after 15 years of silence? I came to discuss. Mother's eyes darted to me. Business matters. Adelaide, go wait in the car. She's not going anywhere, Henry stated firmly. She's exactly where she belongs. She belongs with her family. The family that forgets to attend her competitions? Grace's voice was steel wrapped in silk. The family that dismisses her achievements in favor of her sisters? Mother's face went white. You've been spying on us? We've been protecting our granddaughter, Henry corrected. The one you've been systematically destroying, just like you destroyed yourself. Adelaide, Mother turned to me, her voice desperate. These people abandoned me when I needed them most. They're trying to turn you against us. I pulled out my phone and played the video from my second birthday party. Mother's dismissive voice filled the room. No, Michael, focus on Alyssa. Adelaide's just playing with blocks again. You've been doing this her entire life, Karen, Grace said softly, and we won't stand by and watch anymore. We're offering Adelaide what we once offered you, Henry added, a chance to be herself, to pursue her dreams without compromise. Mother's laugh was brittle. And I suppose this has nothing to do with your fortune? Nothing to do with finding a new heir since I disappointed you? Actually, I stood up, my voice steady despite my racing heart. It has everything to do with finding family who sees me, really sees me. Adelaide, I'm staying for dinner, I cut her off, and I'll be coming back, often. You can't stop me. The look on her face, rage mixed with fear and something like recognition, told me everything. She saw herself in me now, but it was too late. I wasn't going to let anyone clip my wings, not anymore. The acceptance letter from MIT's summer engineering program lay crumpled in Mother's perfectly manicured hands. I hadn't meant for her to find it. It had fallen from my bag during another tense family dinner. Now the silence in Father's study felt like a physical weight. Full scholarship, Mother said flatly. When were you planning to tell us? When you bothered to ask about my future. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Father leaned forward in his leather chair. Adelaide, be reasonable. The summer is already planned. Alyssa's internship at the governor's office. The family vacation. The vacation I'm not invited to? I watched their faces carefully. Yes, Alyssa told me about the family bonding trip to Europe. Mother's lips tightened. Your sister needs our support right now. Her future. And what about my future? A knock at the study door made us all turn. Alyssa stood there, her expression unreadable. I found something interesting in Adelaide's room. My stomach dropped as she held up the old videotape. Behind her, I could see my bedroom door standing open. She'd been snooping. What were you doing in my... More importantly, Alyssa cut me off. I found these. She pulled out printed emails between me and the Carters. Been busy making new family connections, sister dear? Father stood abruptly. The Carters? Karen, isn't that... My parents, Mother's voice was ice, who have no right to contact my daughter. They have every right, I shot back. They're the only ones who actually care about what I want. They're manipulating you, Mother snapped, using you to get back at me, just like they tried to control my life. By offering to support your dreams? The words hit their mark. Mother flinched. Henry told me about medical school, about how you gave it all up because Father convinced you it wasn't feminine enough. Father's face darkened. That's enough. No, it's not. I grabbed the acceptance letter from Mother's hands. You're trying to do the same thing to me. Well, I won't let you. I'm going to MIT this summer. You most certainly are not, Father declared. This family needs to present a united front. Your sister's political connections could be damaged if people find out about the black sheep twin. I laughed bitterly. Don't worry, I won't embarrass you by existing in public anymore. Adelaide, Alyssa stepped forward, her voice suddenly gentle. We're trying to help you. These people, they're strangers. We're your family. Are we? I pulled out my phone, queued up another video I'd found in the attic. Let's talk about family. The screen showed a 10-year-old Alyssa at her dance recital. In the background, a younger me was receiving a science fair award. Mother and father stood with Alyssa, completely ignoring my moment. I have dozens of these, I said quietly. Years of evidence showing exactly what kind of family we are. You've been collecting evidence? Mother's voice shook. Against your own family? No, Mother. I've been collecting proof that I exist. The room fell silent. Even Alyssa seemed stunned. The Carters want to fund my education, I continued. All of it. MIT, graduate school, whatever I choose. No strings attached except one, that I follow my own dreams, not someone else's. And in exchange, they get their revenge on me. Mother's laugh was bitter. Using my own daughter as a weapon. Not everything is about you. I moved toward the door. But if you want to talk about weapons, ask yourself who taught me how to use them. I learned from the best, after all. If you walk out that door, Father started, you'll what? Notice I'm gone? I turned back one last time. The funny thing about being invisible is that no one sees you coming or going. I left them standing there, my sister's face showing the first real emotion I'd seen from her in years. Fear. Not of me, but of what I represented, the possibility of breaking free. In my room, I pulled out the packed bag I'd hidden under my bed weeks ago. The Carters had already offered me a place to stay if things went south. They understood about escape plans, about the price of freedom. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about becoming everything they tried to prevent you from being. And I was just getting started. The suitcases lined our foyer like soldiers preparing for battle. Mother supervised the loading of the car while Father checked their passports one last time. 3 weeks in Europe, the perfect family vacation. Minus one family member, of course. Adelaide, Alyssa called from the stairs, dragging her designer luggage. Could you help with these? I didn't move from my spot at the kitchen counter, where I was updating the code for our robotics project. The national competition was in 2 weeks, not that anyone had asked. Adelaide, Mother's sharp voice cut through my concentration. Help your sister. I'm busy. I didn't look up. Besides, I wouldn't want to intrude on your family time. The typing stopped. Mother's heels clicked across the floor. This attitude needs to stop. We've discussed this. Someone needs to stay and watch the house. Watch the house? I finally looked up. That's your excuse? We both know you hired a house sitter. I saw the contract on Father's desk. Mother's face tightened. Your sister needs our support right now. These connections in Europe could secure her future. Right, because my future doesn't matter. That's not. My phone buzzed. A message from Grace. Everything's ready whenever you need it. Mother's eyes narrowed at the screen. Still conspiring with them? They're called grandparents, and they've offered to fund my entire education. They're trying to buy you, she spat, just like they tried to buy me. No, Mother, they tried to save you, just like they're saving me. The sound of breaking glass made us both jump. Alyssa stood in the doorway, a shattered water glass at her feet, but it was her face that caught my attention. She looked scared. What do you mean, saving you? She asked. I pulled out an envelope from my bag. The Carters aren't just funding my MIT program. They're offering me a place to live, full independence. You're leaving? Alyssa's voice cracked. For the first time in years, I saw my sister instead of my rival. Adelaide, Father appeared behind her. This has gone far enough. You're 17. You can't just... Actually, I can. I stood up. I've already filed for emancipation. The Carters' lawyers helped me prepare everything. Your signatures aren't even required, given the evidence I've collected. Mother went pale. Evidence? Years of documented neglect. Financial records showing the disparity in spending between Alyssa and me. Witness statements from teachers about missed conferences, competitions, awards ceremonies. The videos were just the beginning. You've been building a case against us? Father's voice rose. Your own parents? No. I met his gaze. I've been building an escape route. Adelaide, please. Alyssa stepped forward, glass crunching under her shoes. We can fix this. Cancel the trip. Have a family meeting. That's just it, I cut her off. We're not a family. We're a carefully curated image, and I'm the smudge you keep trying to erase. Mother grabbed my arm. You ungrateful. Karen. Grace Carter's voice rang through the kitchen. She stood in the doorway, Henry beside her. I hadn't even heard them come in. Get out of my house, Mother snarled. Gladly, Henry said calmly. Adelaide, are you ready? I picked up my laptop. The bag I'd packed weeks ago was already in their car. You can't do this. Father started toward me, but Henry stepped between us. Actually, she can, and if you try to stop her, the evidence goes public. How would that affect Alyssa's political aspirations? The silence was deafening. Adelaide, Alyssa whispered, don't go. For a moment, I hesitated. Behind the perfect facade, I saw my sister, really saw her, for the first time in years. She was as trapped as I had been, just in a different way. You could come too, I offered quietly. Mother's sharp intake of breath was answer enough. Alyssa stepped back, shaking her head. That's what I thought. I walked to the door, then turned back one last time. Enjoy Europe. Send me a postcard from the life you chose. As Grace's car pulled away, I watched my family shrink in the rearview mirror. Mother stood rigid. Father looked lost. And Alyssa? Alyssa pressed her hand against the window, an echo of connection too late to matter. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in what you take, but in what you refuse to give anymore. Your time, your dreams, your future. I was done being the family ghost. It was time to become solid. 3 weeks after my family left for Europe, my robotics team won the national championship. The headlines read, Local Teens Medical Robot Revolution. Grace and Henry hosted a celebration dinner, but something felt hollow about the victory. No one from my old life was there to see it. That emptiness didn't last long. They returned on a Sunday. I was in Henry's workshop, refining my robot's interface, when Grace called down. Adelaide, you have visitors. Mother and father stood in the living room, still tan from their vacation. Alyssa wasn't with them. Congratulations on your win, Father said stiffly. It's all over the local news. Thank you for finally noticing. I kept my distance, noting how Mother's eyes darted around the room, cataloging the wealth on display. We've come to take you home, Mother announced. This rebellious phase has gone on long enough. Henry stepped forward. Karen, the Emancipation Papers have been challenged, Father interrupted. Our lawyers found irregularities in the filing, and we have evidence of parental alienation. My stomach dropped. What evidence? Mother pulled out her phone, playing a recording. My voice filled the room. They never wanted me. I was just the spare, the backup plan. It was from a private conversation with Grace, edited to remove context. You've been recording me? Alyssa has been gathering evidence, Mother said coldly. For weeks before we left, every conversation, every secret meeting. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. My own twin, the one person I'd hoped might understand. You can't force me back, I said, but my voice wavered. Actually, we can. Father held up more papers. The court has temporarily suspended the emancipation pending investigation. You're still a minor, Adelaide. You're coming home. Over my dead body. Grace stepped between us. Mother, Karen's voice turned silky. You really want another public scandal? Remember what happened last time you tried to control someone's life? The threat hung in the air. Grace paled. Adelaide, Henry said quietly, this is your choice. But was it? If they fought this, my grandparents could lose everything. Their reputation, their foundation's work, their ability to help others, all because they tried to help me. If I come back, I said slowly, what are your terms? Mother smiled. No more contact with the Carters. You'll finish high school at home, focusing on proper subjects. This engineering obsession ends now. And my robot, the medical contracts, will be transferred to Thompson Industries, Father stated. Your work belongs to the family. They weren't just trying to control my future. They wanted to steal it. Adelaide, don't, Grace pleaded. I looked at my grandparents, these people who'd given me everything my parents hadn't. Then I looked at Mother's triumphant face and saw something I'd never noticed before. Fear. She wasn't just trying to control me. She was terrified of what I represented, freedom, choice, the path she'd abandoned. Okay, I said quietly. I'll come home. Mother's smile widened. But first, I pulled out my phone. Listen to this. I played the complete conversation with Grace, unedited. Then another, Mother admitting to the years of neglect. And finally, today's conversation, recorded live. You're not the only one who knows how to gather evidence, I said. Everything you've done, every manipulation, every threat, it's all documented. If you force me home, if you touch my patents or my grandparents, it all goes public. You wouldn't dare, Mother whispered. Try me. You taught me well, remember? Image is everything. Father stepped forward, his face dark with rage, but Henry moved faster, placing himself between us. Get out of my house, he said quietly, before I call the police. They left, but Mother's parting words chilled me. This isn't over, Adelaide. Family is forever. I sank onto the couch, shaking. The victory felt Pyrrhic. I'd won my freedom, but at what cost? My sister's final betrayal, my parents' escalating threats, the knowledge that this war was far from over. Grace sat beside me, holding my hand. You did the right thing. Did I? I stared at the door. They'll never stop coming after me now. No, Henry agreed. But now you're ready for them. I thought about my robot, designed to help people heal. Somewhere along the way, my quest for revenge had transformed into something else, a fight not just for my freedom, but for my right to create, to help, to exist on my own terms. Mother was right about one thing. This wasn't over, but she'd forgotten an important lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one you taught to be invisible. The press conference room buzzed with anticipation. My medical robotics breakthrough had attracted international attention, and Thompson Industries, my father's hastily rebranded accounting firm, was trying to claim credit. I sat in the back, watching Father approach the podium. Mother and Alyssa flanked him, the perfect corporate family. The sight of them made my hands shake, but I steadied them on my laptop. Thompson Industries is proud to announce a revolutionary advancement in medical robotics, Father began. Our development team. Interesting. I stood up, my voice carrying through the room. I'd love to meet this development team. The reporters turned. Camera flashes exploded as they recognized me from the national championship coverage. Adelaide, Mother's smile was brittle. How lovely of you to join us. I wouldn't miss it. I walked forward, laptop in hand, especially since you're about to commit patent fraud. The room erupted in questions. Father gripped the podium. Security. Won't be necessary. I connected my laptop to the presentation system. I'm sure everyone here would love to see the actual development process of this technology. The screen filled with dated video footage from Henry's workshop. Me, working alone, developing the robot. Then the timestamps. All while I was living with my grandparents, long after I'd left home. Adelaide, Alyssa stepped forward, her voice low. Don't do this. We can work something out. Like you worked out recording private conversations to use against me? She flinched. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the crowd. Thompson Industries has no claim to this technology. The patents are registered solely in my name, developed independently with support from the Carter Foundation. The Carter Foundation? A reporter perked up. Karen Thompson's parents? Mother's face went white. Yes, I smiled. My grandparents, who, unlike my parents, actually supported my work instead of trying to steal it. These are family matters. Father tried to regain control. Private? Nothing about this is private. I cut him off. You tried to steal my future, again, but this time I have proof. I played the recording from our last confrontation. Their threats about forcing me home, taking my patents. The room fell silent. Adelaide, Mother's voice shook. We were trying to protect you. No, you were trying to control me, just like you've always done. I turned to the reporters. Thompson Industries has no rights to this technology. Any attempts to claim otherwise will result in immediate legal action. You ungrateful? Father started forward, but Alyssa grabbed his arm. Stop, she whispered. Everyone's watching. And they were. Dozens of cameras captured every moment of their carefully constructed facade crumbling. Mr. Thompson, a reporter called out, did you attempt to fraudulently claim your daughter's work? Ms. Thompson, why did you leave home? Is there a connection between this and the Carter Foundation's recent announcement about their succession plans? Mother's head snapped up at that last question. Succession plans? Oh, I smiled. Didn't you hear? Grandma and Grandpa are naming me their heir, all their wealth, their foundation, their legacy. It's going to the daughter you threw away. The look on her face, rage mixed with devastating realization, was everything I'd dreamed of. But somehow, it felt hollow. You know what the saddest part is? I said quietly, just for them. I would have shared it all. The success, the recognition, the future. All you had to do was love me. Alyssa stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Adelaide, please. Goodbye, sister. I turned away. Enjoy the spotlight. It's all yours now. As I walked out, reporters swarming around me, I heard Mother's voice crack. Adelaide, wait! But I kept walking. Behind me, their perfect world collapsed under the weight of truth. But I felt no satisfaction, only relief. Grace and Henry waited in the lobby. You didn't have to do it this way, Grace said softly. Yes, I did. I watched through the glass as security cleared the press conference room. They needed to learn that actions have consequences. And what did you learn? Henry asked. I thought about the years spent seeking revenge, only to find that success was the best revenge of all. I learned that sometimes winning isn't about destroying your enemies, I said. Sometimes it's about becoming everything they feared you could be. Outside, cameras flashed and reporters called my name. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I was inevitable. The hospital corridor buzzed with excitement as I guided my surgical robot through its first official procedure. Through the observation window, dozens of medical professionals watched, including Henry, who beamed with pride. This wasn't just a demonstration, it was a revolution in microsurgery. My phone vibrated. A news alert about Thompson Industries filing for bankruptcy. Father's desperate attempt to rebrand his accounting firm had backfired spectacularly after the press conference scandal. Their perfect facade had finally crumbled completely. I pushed the notification away, focusing on the delicate movements of my creation. This moment wasn't about them anymore. After the successful procedure, as the crowd of observers dispersed, I noticed a familiar figure lingering by the door. Alyssa, looking smaller somehow, without our parents' shadow looming over her. "That was incredible," she said quietly. "Thanks." I started packing up my equipment. "How did you find me?" "I follow your work, all of it." She stepped closer. "The medical journals, the interviews, the foundation initiatives. You're changing the world, Adelaide. While you're changing campaign strategies." The words came out sharper than intended. "Actually," she smiled sadly, "I dropped out of the political internship, started taking engineering classes instead." That made me look up. "You hate engineering." "No, I hate what I thought I had to be." She pulled something from her bag, an old photograph of us as children, building with blocks together. "Remember this? Before they started pushing us into different boxes?" I did remember. Before the roles were assigned, before the competition began. "Mother and Father are selling the house," she continued, moving somewhere smaller. "They wanted me to ask." She hesitated. "They want to know if you'll meet with them." "Why? So they can try to control me again?" "No, I think they finally understand what they lost." She placed the photo on my workstation. "What we all lost." I studied my sister's face, really looked at her for the first time in years. The perfect mask was gone, replaced by something raw and real. "I'm not coming back," I said firmly. "I know, but maybe." She took a deep breath. "Maybe I could come forward, learn from you, not as competition or replacement, just as sisters." Before I could answer, Henry appeared in the doorway. "Adelaide, the Carter Foundation board is waiting." "Coming." I gathered my things, then turned back to Alyssa. "You know it won't be easy. Breaking free of their expectations never is." "I learned that from watching you." She smiled tentatively. "You showed me it was possible." I thought about revenge, about justice, about all the ways I'd wanted to make them feel as invisible as they'd made me feel. But standing here, surrounded by the life I'd built, those desires felt distant. "Sunday dinners," I said finally, "at the Carters. Come alone. We'll start there." Her eyes lit up with hope, the same look I'd seen in the mirror when Grace and Henry first opened their door to me. Later, in Henry's workshop, I found Grace looking through old family albums. "Everything all right?" she asked, noting my thoughtful expression. "I think—" I picked up a screwdriver, turning it over in my hands. "I think I finally understand why you never gave up on Mother, even after she pushed you away." Grace smiled softly. "Sometimes love means keeping the door open, even when someone slams it shut, but not letting them walk all over you when they decide to walk through it." "Exactly." She closed the album. "Your sister came alone today. That's a start." I nodded, picking up the photograph Alyssa had left. Two little girls, building something together, before the world told them they couldn't. "You know," I said, "I always thought revenge would feel like winning, but this feels more like—" "Freedom," Grace finished. "The freedom to choose who you want to be and who you want in your life." I pinned the photograph to my workbench next to the blueprints for my next project. Maybe some bridges couldn't be rebuilt. Maybe some shouldn't be. But others. Through the workshop window, I watched Alyssa walking to her car, shoulders straight, looking forward instead of back. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying what hurt you, but in building something new from the pieces they left behind. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you find others willing to build with you.
Jude's laughter echoed through the kitchen as I helped him build a tower of pancakes, each layer dripping with maple syrup. His small hands carefully placed blueberries in smiley face patterns, concentration etched on his features. These Saturday morning rituals had become our thing over the past 3 years, ever since my sister Ingrid had started her finding herself phase. I'm Noelle, and at 32, I'd somehow become the de facto mother to my 8-year-old nephew. Not that I'm complaining. Jude is the brightest light in my life. Aunt Noelle, can we make one for Mom too? Jude asked, his blue eyes, so much like Ingrid's, looking up at me hopefully. My heart clenched. Sure, buddy, but you know your mom's probably still sleeping. Yeah, she always sleeps late when she comes home late, he said matter-of-factly, reaching for another pancake. The casual way he accepted his mother's absence made my blood boil, but I kept my voice steady. Hey, how about we take these to the living room and watch some cartoons? As Jude settled on the couch, syrupy plate balanced carefully on his lap, my phone buzzed. Another text from Ingrid. Thanks, sis, you're the best. Had the most amazing night. Might stay at John's for brunch. Kiss Jude for me. I typed back a quick, okay, and slipped the phone into my pocket. The familiar mix of anger and resignation settled in my stomach like lead. Aunt Noelle? Jude's voice pulled me from my thoughts. Will you help me with my science project later? It's due Monday. Of course, what's it about? We have to make a family tree, he said, pushing his empty plate aside. Ms. Thompson says we need pictures too. I froze. That sounds fun. Let me grab the old photo albums from the study. In the study, I pulled out the heavy albums from the bottom shelf. A manila envelope fell out, spilling papers across the floor. As I gathered them up, a bank statement caught my eye. It was addressed to Ingrid, but something about the numbers made me pause. Aunt Noelle, Jude called from the living room. Can we use the picture from the beach last summer? Coming! I stuffed the papers back into the envelope, but not before noticing the child support payment amounts. Numbers that didn't add up to Jude's basic needs, let alone the designer clothes and exotic vacations that seemed to fill Ingrid's social media. We spent the afternoon creating Jude's family tree, carefully gluing photos onto colorful construction paper. Each picture told a story. Holidays, birthdays, first days of school. In almost every recent one, I was there instead of Ingrid. This is my favorite, Jude said, pointing to a photo from last Christmas. In it, he sat between Ingrid and me, his smile bright, but his body leaning slightly toward my side. I remembered that day clearly. Ingrid had shown up 3 hours late to our family dinner, full of excuses about traffic. The doorbell rang, startling us both. My friend Van stood on the porch, holding a pizza box. Thought you two might be hungry, he said with a grin. Van! Jude launched himself at my friend's legs. We're making a family tree. That's awesome, buddy. Mind if I take a look? As Jude proudly showed Van his project, I slipped back to the study and retrieved the envelope. Something wasn't right, and I needed to know what. Hey, Van, I called out. Could you stay with Jude for a few minutes? I need to make a quick phone call. Van's expression turned serious as he caught my tone. Sure, no problem. Hey, Jude, want to see if we can build a pizza tower? In my bedroom, I spread the papers across my bed. Bank statements, receipts, legal documents, all telling a story that made my hands shake with rage. The child support payments from Jude's father, the ones meant for his education and care, had been funding Ingrid's partying lifestyle for months. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Ingrid. Having the best time. Might head to Miami next weekend with John. You'll watch Jude, right? You're so much better at the mom stuff anyway. I stared at the message, then at the papers scattered across my bed. The sound of Jude's laughter drifted up from downstairs, mixed with Van's playful voice. In that moment, something inside me hardened into resolve. You're right about one thing, sis, I whispered to the empty room. I am better at the mom stuff, and it's time I did something about it. After tucking Jude into bed that night, I spread the documents across my kitchen table. Van sat across from me, his lawyer brain already in high gear as he shuffled through the papers. This is bad, Noelle. Really bad, he said, tapping a highlighted section. These transfers to her personal account. They're systematic. Every time the child support comes in, she moves it straight to her travel fund. I gripped my coffee mug tighter. How long has this been going on? Based on these statements, at least 8 months. Van ran a hand through his hair. And these credit card bills in Jude's name? That's fraud. In his name? My voice cracked. She opened credit cards in his name? 2 of them, both maxed out. He pushed the statements toward me. Look at the charges. Hotels in Vegas, flights to Cancun, designer shopping sprees. My phone lit up with a notification. Ingrid had just posted on Instagram, another glamorous photo at some rooftop bar, cocktail in hand, caption reading, "Living my best life. Deister blessed, Messer no regrets." I'm going to be sick, I muttered, pushing away from the table. Van caught my arm. Wait, before you do anything rash, we need a plan. You want custody of Jude, right? More than anything. Then we need to be smart about this. I know a family law attorney, Anton. He's tough, but he's good. Let me make a call. While Van stepped outside to make his call, I opened my laptop and started digging deeper. Ingrid's social media was a goldmine of evidence. Time-stamped photos showing her partying while Jude was sick, check-ins at expensive restaurants on days she claimed she couldn't afford his school supplies. Got you, I whispered, downloading everything. Van came back in, already typing on his phone. Anton can see us tomorrow at 9, but Noelle, there's something else you should see. He pulled up a video on his phone. It was shaky footage from someone's Instagram story, showing Ingrid at what looked like a yacht party. She was laughing, drink in hand, as she talked to someone off camera. Just send the kid to my sister, Ingrid's voice came through clearly. She's so desperate to play mommy, it's pathetic. Meanwhile, I'm living it up on his dad's dime. The phone slipped from my trembling hands, clattering onto the table. When was this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. 3 days ago. Miami. Van's expression was grim. One of my paralegal friends follows someone who was there. She recognized Ingrid from your photos and sent this to me. A small noise from the doorway made us both turn. Jude stood there in his dinosaur pajamas, clutching his stuffed tiger. I had a bad dream, he said softly. I was across the room in seconds, scooping him up. It's okay, baby. I've got you. Over Jude's shoulder, I met Van's eyes. He nodded, already gathering the documents into a folder. Want me to make you some hot chocolate? I asked Jude, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. With marshmallows? Extra marshmallows. As I heated the milk, Van quietly packed up, pausing at the door. 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'll pick you up at 8:30. After Jude fell asleep again, this time in my bed, I sat in the dim light of my laptop, creating folders of evidence, bank statements, social media posts, text messages where Ingrid casually dumped her responsibilities on me while bragging about her latest adventures. My phone buzzed with a text from Tamara. Girl, you won't believe who I just saw at the Grove. Your sister shopping up a storm with some new guy. Definitely not John. Want me to keep an eye on her? I typed back quickly, yes, document everything. Another notification popped up. Ingrid had tagged herself at a new club downtown. The caption read, Thursday's the new Friday. Who needs responsibility when you're having this much fun? I clicked on the location tag and felt my blood run cold. In the background of one photo, barely visible but unmistakable, was a document that looked exactly like Jude's medical insurance card, the one I'd been asking her to send me for weeks, the one she claimed she couldn't find. Got you again, sis, I muttered, saving the photo. Jude stirred in his sleep, and I gently brushed his hair back from his forehead. 3 years I'd been picking up Ingrid's slack, making excuses for her absence, trying to protect him from the truth about his mother. But now, watching him sleep peacefully, trusting that I'd keep him safe, I knew it was time to stop protecting Ingrid and start protecting him instead. Tomorrow's meeting with Anton couldn't come soon enough. The evidence was mounting, and my patience had run out. Ingrid wanted to play games with her son's future? Fine. But she was about to learn that some games have consequences. Anton's office smelled of leather and coffee. He flipped through our evidence folder with methodical precision, while Van and I sat across from his imposing desk. This is compelling, Anton said, pausing at the yacht party video. But we need to be strategic. Have you confronted your sister about any of this? Not yet, I replied. I wanted to get legal advice first. Smart. He leaned forward. Here's what we're going to do. Set up a casual meeting with Ingrid. Feel her out, but don't show your cards. Record everything. Check if your state allows one-party recording first, Van? Van nodded. Already checked. We're good. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Hey, sis! Ingrid's voice chirped through the speaker. Lunch today? I have the most amazing news! I met Anton's eyes. He nodded encouragingly. Sure, I said, keeping my voice light. The usual place at 1? Perfect! You're the best! The cafe was busy when I arrived. Ingrid was already there, wearing designer sunglasses and typing furiously on her phone. My recording app was running in my pocket as I sat down. Noelle, she squealed, air-kissing my cheek. You won't believe it. John's taking me to Paris next month. Isn't that incredible? Paris? I stirred my coffee slowly. What about Jude's school play? He's got the lead role. Ingrid waved dismissively. Oh, you can record it for me. He understands. Mommy needs her me time. Like Miami last weekend? The words slipped out before I could stop them. She paused, sunglasses sliding down slightly. How did you know about Miami? Instagram, I said smoothly. Looked like fun. Oh, it was amazing. The yacht parties, the shopping. She leaned forward conspiratorially. Actually, I need a tiny favor. Could you cover Jude's school fees this month? The Paris trip was a bit more expensive than I expected. My hand tightened around my coffee cup. What about the child support payments? What about them? Shouldn't that cover his school fees? Ingrid's smile faltered for a split second. Oh, you know how it is. Everything's so expensive these days. But you're so good with money, and you love helping with Jude. Where exactly does the child support money go, Ingrid? The temperature between us dropped 10 degrees. Ingrid's perfectly manicured nails drummed on the table. Are you implying something? Her voice had lost its sugar coating. Just asking a simple question. I don't like your tone. She grabbed her designer bag. If you're going to be judgmental about how I manage my money, your money, it's Jude's money. She stood abruptly. I'm his mother. I decide what's best for him. When was the last time you actually made a decision about him, without pawning it off on me? You know what? Ingrid hissed, leaning close. You're just jealous. Jealous that I have a life while you're playing house with my kid. The cafe door chimed as she stormed out, leaving me with a half-empty coffee cup and a recording that would make Anton very happy. My phone buzzed immediately, a text from Tamara. You okay? Just saw Ingrid tear out of the cafe parking lot like a bat out of hell. Before I could respond, another message came through, this time from John, Ingrid's boyfriend. Hey, weird question, but did Ingrid ever give you Jude's social security card back? Can't find it in her files. My blood ran cold. I forwarded the message to Van and Anton immediately. Come to the office, Anton replied within seconds. We need to move faster than planned. As I drove to his office, my phone kept lighting up with notifications. Ingrid was on a posting spree, angry quotes about toxic family and jealous sisters flooding her Instagram story. Then came her message, hope you're happy. Since you're so concerned about my son, why don't you just take him? See how you like being a full-time mom with no help. Have fun giving up your whole life. I pulled over, hands shaking as I typed my response. Careful what you wish for, sis. At Anton's office, he was already pulling up additional documents. This is perfect, he said, reading through my recorded conversation. She practically admitted to misusing the support payments. And with John's text about the Social Security card. What do we do now? Now? Anton smiled grimly. Now we file for emergency custody. But first, call this number. He slid a business card across the desk. It's for a fraud investigator I work with. If Ingrid's been opening accounts in Jude's name, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with. I stared at the card, remembering Ingrid's parting shot about giving up my whole life. She's wrong, you know, Van said quietly. You're not giving up your life. You're fighting for it. Yours and Jude's. The fraud investigator's report landed in my inbox at 3 a.m., but I was already awake, sitting at my kitchen table with Tamara. Sleep had become a distant memory since the cafe confrontation 3 days ago. 3 credit cards, I read aloud, scrolling through the document. 2 personal loans, all in his name. How is this even possible? He's 8. Tamara reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Have you thought about how you're going to tell him? The question I'd been avoiding hit me like a punch to the gut. How do you tell a kid his mother's been stealing his identity? The same way you tell him everything else, with love and honesty. My phone lit up with a text from John. Heads up, Ingrid's on her way to your place. She's drunk and angry. Perfect, I muttered, showing Tamara the message. Just perfect. The doorbell rang moments later, followed by aggressive knocking. I opened the door to find Ingrid swaying slightly, mascara smeared under her eyes. Where's my son? She demanded, pushing past me. Sleeping, I said firmly. It's the middle of the night, Ingrid. I want to see him. She started toward the stairs, but Tamara blocked her path. Not like this, Tamara said. You're drunk. Oh, look who it is, the other wannabe mommy, Ingrid sneered. You two just love playing house with my kid, don't you? Someone has to be there for him, I shot back, while you're maxing out credit cards in his name. The color drained from Ingrid's face. You went through my things? No, a fraud investigator did. Want to explain the loans, Ingrid? The credit cards? Aunt Noelle? A small voice from the stairs made us all freeze. Jude stood there in his pajamas, clutching his tiger. Mom, what's happening? Baby! Ingrid lurched toward the stairs. Mommy's here to take you home. You're not taking him anywhere, I stepped between them. Tamara, can you take Jude back to bed? No, Ingrid grabbed my arm. You can't keep my son from me. Mom, you're scary. Jude's voice trembled. I want to stay with Aunt Noelle. The words seemed to hit Ingrid like a physical blow. She staggered back, bumping into the wall. You've turned him against me, she whispered. My own son. You did that yourself, I said quietly. Every time you chose partying over his school events. Every time you spent his future on designer bags and yacht parties. Aunt Noelle? Jude had moved closer, ignoring Tamara's gentle attempts to lead him upstairs. Is Mom okay? The concern in his voice, concern for the woman who'd betrayed him in ways he couldn't yet understand, broke something inside me. Your mom needs help, buddy, I said, kneeling to his level. And until she gets it, you're going to stay with me. Is that okay? He nodded, then looked at Ingrid. Mom, are you going to get help? Ingrid slid down the wall to sit on the floor, her designer dress crumpling around her. You don't understand, she sobbed. Any of you. I never wanted this responsibility. I never wanted... Me? Jude's voice was small. No, baby, that's not... Ingrid reached for him, but he stepped back, pressing against my side. I think you should leave, Tamara said firmly. Before you say something else you can't take back. Fine, Ingrid stumbled to her feet. Fine. Keep him. You've always wanted to replace me anyway. She yanked the door open, then turned back with a bitter laugh. You know what's funny? You'll see. You'll see how hard it is, giving up everything for someone else. Your freedom, your dreams, your life, it all goes away. And then you'll understand why I needed an escape. The door slammed behind her. In the sudden silence, I could hear Jude's quiet sniffles. Hey, I pulled him close. How about some hot chocolate? Later, after Jude had finally fallen asleep in my bed again, Tamara and I sat on my back porch, watching the sun rise. You're doing the right thing, she said softly. Am I? You heard her? I'm taking away his mother. No, you're protecting him from someone who's proven she'll hurt him. There's a difference. My phone buzzed with a text from Van. Just got a call from Anton. Emergency custody hearing set for next week. You ready? Before I could respond, another message came through. From John. Found something you need to see. Ingrid's been planning to take Jude out of the country. Passport application with forged signatures. Meeting tomorrow? I showed Tamara the message, my hands shaking. Still questioning if you're doing the right thing? She asked. I looked through my kitchen window, where I could see Jude sleeping peacefully, unaware of the storm gathering around him. No, I replied, not anymore. The coffee shop where I met John was quiet, tucked away from the usual morning rush. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes as he slid a manila envelope across the table. "Found these in her desk drawer," he said. "Passport application, fake school transfer papers, one-way tickets to Bali." My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. When was she planning this? "Next month, right after Paris." He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. "Look, I knew she was irresponsible. But this is criminal." "Why are you helping me?" I asked, studying his face. "Because last night, she was drunk, talking about how she'd be free once she got Jude away from everyone." He leaned forward. "She said she'd dump him with her friends in Bali while she found herself in Asia." My phone buzzed. A text from Ingrid. "Missing my baby boy. Dinner tonight? Just the three of us?" "She's trying to act normal," I showed John the message. "Like nothing happened." "Don't let her near him." John stood up. "I've got to go. She can't know I was here. But Noelle? Be careful. She's desperate." Back home, I found Van and Tamara in my kitchen with Anton, surrounded by papers. "We've got the hearing moved up," Anton said without preamble. "Tomorrow morning, Judge Rogers took one look at the fraud evidence and the passport application and cleared her schedule." "That fast?" "Identity theft of a minor, attempted kidnapping. They take this seriously." He shuffled through some documents. "But we need to prepare you for what's coming. Ingrid's hired counsel." "Who?" "Marcus Thompson. He's known for aggressive tactics. He'll try to paint you as obsessed with replacing Ingrid, maybe even claim you manipulated evidence." The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Ingrid standing there, looking perfectly put together in a conservative dress. "Right on cue," Van muttered. "Remember," Anton whispered, "don't engage. Don't let her in. Record everything." I opened the door slightly, keeping the chain on. "Now's not a good time, Ingrid." "I just want to see my son." Her voice was honey-sweet. "I brought his favorite cookies." "You mean the ones he's allergic to?" Her smile faltered. "What? No, he loves chocolate chip." "He's allergic to chocolate, Ingrid. Has been since he was 5. You'd know that if you'd been to any of his doctor's appointments." "Fine." Her voice hardened. "I tried being nice. But you can't keep my son from me. I'm his mother." "A mother who was planning to abandon him in Bali?" She stepped back like I'd slapped her. "Who told you?" Her eyes narrowed. "John. That bastard." "Go home, Ingrid. We'll see you in court tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" For the first time, fear crept into her expression. "What's tomorrow?" "Check with your lawyer." I started to close the door, but she jammed her foot in. "You think you've won?" she hissed. "You think any judge will choose you over a child's real mother? I'll tell them how you've always been jealous of me, how you've tried to steal my son since day one." "Aunt Noelle?" Jude's voice came from behind me. "Is that Mom?" Ingrid's face transformed instantly. "Baby, oh, I've missed you so much." "Don't move, Jude," Van called out, his phone clearly recording. "Stay where you are." "Why can't I see him?" Ingrid's voice rose hysterically. "What lies have you been telling him?" "No lies," Jude said quietly. "I saw the videos of you talking about using my money." The color drained from Ingrid's face. "Baby, no, you don't understand." "I understand that you hurt me," his voice wobbled. "Miss Thompson at school says that's what identity theft means. You hurt my future." Ingrid stumbled back, her perfect facade cracking. "This isn't over," she pointed at me. "You'll regret turning him against me." As she stormed off, I closed the door and turned to find Jude crying silently. I pulled him into a hug. "You were so brave," I whispered. "Did you get all that?" Anton asked Van, who nodded, stopping the recording. "Perfect for tomorrow. Her threats, the attempted forced entry, the manipulation. Judge Rogers will love it." My phone lit up with rapid-fire texts from Ingrid. "You've ruined everything. He'll hate you for this. I should have taken him away when I had the chance." I blocked her number and held Jude tighter. "What happens now?" he asked, his face buried in my shoulder. "Now," I kissed the top of his head, "we get ready for tomorrow, and then we start building a better future, together." Tamara brought over 2 cups of hot chocolate, both topped with whipped cream. "And you're not doing it alone," she said firmly. Looking around my kitchen, at Van organizing documents, Anton making calls, Tamara comforting Jude, and the army of support we'd built, I finally felt ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. The war wasn't over, but for the first time I knew we'd win. The courthouse hallway felt colder than it should for a summer morning. Jude sat between Tamara and Van on a wooden bench, his small legs swinging nervously while I paced. "Stop wearing a path in the floor," Van said gently. "You're making me dizzy." "Where is she?" I checked my phone again. "The hearing starts in 10 minutes. As if on cue, the heavy doors burst open. Ingrid swept in wearing a conservative navy dress, her lawyer Marcus trailing behind her. She'd styled her hair to look exactly like mine. "Copying my look won't help your case," I muttered as she passed. She paused, leaning close. "No, but it'll help convince the judge how desperately you want to be me." "All parties for the Blair custody hearing," a clerk called out. Inside the courtroom, everything happened fast. Anton presented our evidence methodically. Bank statements, credit card fraud documents, social media posts, the passport application, John's written testimony. Marcus stood up, straightening his tie. "Your Honor, my client admits to some financial mismanagement, but these actions, while regrettable, don't negate her fundamental right as a mother. Ms. Noelle Blair has orchestrated a campaign to alienate a child from his mother." "Objection," Anton interrupted. "Counsel is making unsubstantiated claims." "Sustained." Judge Rogers peered over her glasses. "Mr. Thompson, do you have evidence of this alleged alienation?" "We have evidence of an unhealthy obsession." Marcus played a video on the courtroom screen. My heart sank as I recognized the footage. Every school event, every doctor's appointment, every parent-teacher conference I'd attended with Jude over the years. "As you can see," Marcus continued, "Ms. Noelle has inserted herself into every aspect of the child's life, systematically replacing my client." "Because she wasn't there!" Jude's voice rang out suddenly. "Mom never came." "Jude, honey," Ingrid started. "No!" He stood up, shaking. "You promised to come to my play. You promised to be at my science fair. Aunt Noelle was there because you weren't." "Order," Judge Rogers called softly. "Young man, would you like to speak with me privately in my chambers?" Jude nodded, squeezing my hand before following the judge. "This is your fault," Ingrid hissed across the aisle. "You've poisoned him against me." "Ms. Blair," Judge Rogers warned as she returned, "control yourself or you'll be removed." The next hour was brutal. Marcus tried to paint me as an obsessed aunt trying to steal a child from his mother. Anton countered with evidence of Ingrid's neglect, the fraud, the attempted kidnapping plot. Then came the recordings. "Just send the kid to my sister. Oh, I'm living it up on his dad's dime." Ingrid's voice filled the courtroom, followed by footage from my doorstep. "You think you've won? You think any judge will choose you over a real mother?" "Your Honor," Marcus jumped up, "these recordings were legally obtained in a one-party consent state," Anton finished. "And there's more." He played Ingrid's social media videos, dozens of them, spanning months. Each showed her partying, traveling, shopping, all while Jude's education fund was drained and credit cards in his name maxed out. "Enough," Judge Rogers held up her hand. "I've seen sufficient evidence. After speaking with the minor child and reviewing all documentation, I'm prepared to make my ruling." My heart hammered as she continued. "Ms. Ingrid Blair, your actions show a pattern of neglect, financial abuse, and attempted parental kidnapping. I'm granting full custody to Ms. Noelle Blair, with supervised visitation for the mother pending completion of parenting classes and financial counseling." "No!" Ingrid shot to her feet. "You can't do this. He's my son." "Mom, please," Jude's voice quivered. "Just get help." "This isn't over." She grabbed her designer bag. "I'll appeal. Ms. Blair," Judge Rogers' voice cut like steel. "Any attempt to violate this order will result in criminal charges. Do you understand?" Ingrid stormed out, Marcus hurrying after her. Outside the courthouse, Jude was quiet as we walked to the car. "Ice cream?" Van suggested. "I think we all earned it." "Can we go home instead?" Jude asked softly. "I just want to go home." "Of course, buddy." As we drove, my phone lit up with messages from unknown numbers, Ingrid using her friends' phones to bypass the block. "You'll regret this. Watch your back. This isn't the end." Van took my phone. I'll handle this. Anton's already drafting a restraining order. At home, Jude went straight to his room. I found him sitting on his bed, holding a family photo from before everything fell apart. Hey, I sat beside him. Want to talk about it? Did I do the right thing? He whispered. Telling the judge everything? You told the truth. That's always right. He leaned against me. She's still my mom. Yes, she is, and maybe someday she'll get the help she needs. But until then, you're safe. That's what matters. Promise you won't leave too? I pulled him close, feeling his tears soak into my shirt. Never. We're in this together, remember? Outside, I heard Tamara and Van in the kitchen, probably starting dinner. My phone was blessedly silent. For now, at least, we had peace. But something told me Ingrid wasn't done fighting yet. 3 weeks after the custody hearing, I was helping Jude with his homework when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Ingrid, sober, subdued, and dressed more simply than I'd seen her in years. What do you want? I asked through the door. To talk. Please. Her voice lacked its usual sharp edge. I'm not here to fight. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. 5 minutes. I've been in therapy, she said quietly, twice a week, and I joined a support group for gambling addiction. Gambling? That's where most of the money went, not just the parties and travel. I had debts. She wrapped her arms around herself. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I needed you to know I'm trying. Before I could respond, Jude appeared behind me. Mom? Hi, baby, she said softly, but didn't move toward him. Progress, maybe. Are you better now? His voice was small but steady. I'm working on it, really working on it this time. She pulled something from her purse, a folder. This is for you, Noelle. The therapist helped me put it together. Inside were payment plans, credit repair documents, and a notarized letter accepting full responsibility for the fraudulent accounts in Jude's name. It's not enough, she continued. I know that, but it's a start. Mom? Jude stepped forward. Did you really hate being my mother? Ingrid's composure cracked. No, baby, I was sick. Selfish and sick. I didn't hate being your mother. I hated myself for failing at it. You haven't earned this conversation yet, I said firmly. Not until you've proven... A car screeched to a halt in front of the house. John jumped out, running toward us. She's not here for reconciliation, he panted. She's creating an alibi. What? I turned back to Ingrid, who had gone pale. John, don't... Tell them about Marcus, he demanded. Tell them what you're really doing here. Marcus? I pushed Jude behind me. Your lawyer? He's filing emergency appeals in 3 different jurisdictions, John explained. While she's here making amends, he's trying to get the custody ruling overturned on technical grounds. Is that true? Jude's voice trembled. Ingrid's mask slipped. You don't understand. None of you do. That judge had no right. To protect my future? Jude stepped around me. To stop you from stealing from me? I'm your mother. No, he said quietly. You're just someone who gave birth to me. Aunt Noelle is my mother. The words hung in the air like thunder before a storm. You did this, Ingrid lunged at me. You turned him against me. John caught her arms. That's enough. This is exactly why you lost custody. Get out, I said coldly, and tell Marcus not to waste his time. We'll fight every appeal. You can't keep my son forever, she spat. One day he'll see through you. No, Mom. Jude's voice was stronger now. One day you'll see what you threw away. As John led her away, she turned back one last time. You think you've won? You think this is over? Chaos always comes back around, sister dear. Always. You're right, I called after her. Chaos does come back, but some of us learn to flourish in it. While others? I looked pointedly at her designer bag, now stuffed with legal papers instead of stolen money. Others just keep drowning. Inside, Jude sat at the homework-covered table, staring at his math problems. Did you mean it? I asked softly. What you said about me being... my mother? He looked up, eyes wet but determined. You pack my lunch every day. You help me with homework. You come to every school thing. You protect me. He took a shaky breath. That's what mothers do, right? I pulled him into a hug, feeling his tears soak into my shirt. Can we call Van and Tamara? He asked. I don't want to do math right now. Already here, kiddo. Van's voice came from the doorway. He and Tamara must have arrived during the confrontation. And we brought pizza. And ice cream, Tamara added, holding up a bag. Some situations demand both. Later, after Jude had fallen asleep on the couch during our impromptu movie night, Van showed me his phone. Marcus filed the appeals, he said quietly. But don't worry, they're weak, desperate. Like Ingrid, Tamara added. I looked at Jude, peaceful in sleep, then at my friends, my real family, gathered in my living room. Let her try, I said. Some things are worth fighting for, and some battles. I tucked a blanket around Jude. Some battles you keep fighting until there's nothing left to fight about. Speaking of fighting, Van smiled. Wait until you see what Anton found in Ingrid's financial records. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. For the first time in weeks, I felt truly confident. Ingrid was right about chaos coming back around. But she'd forgotten one thing. I'd learned to thrive in it, while she was still trying to run from it. The morning sun streamed through Anton's office windows as he spread the documents across his desk. The fraud investigation uncovered something interesting. Ingrid wasn't just stealing from Jude. What do you mean? I leaned forward. She was running a small-scale Ponzi scheme through her social media, convincing her followers to invest in fake luxury vacation packages. He tapped a series of bank statements. The FBI is very interested. My phone buzzed. Tamara. Turn on the news. Now. Anton flipped on his office TV. There was Ingrid being led out of her apartment in handcuffs, her perfect image finally crumbling. The headline scrolled, Social media influencer arrested in investment fraud scheme. She wasn't just stealing from Jude, Van said from the doorway. She was stealing from everyone. My phone rang. It was Jude's school. Ms. Blair, Ingrid's here trying to remove Jude from class. We've called the police, but I'm on my way. At the school, I found Ingrid in the principal's office, still in her designer clothes from the arrest footage, looking wild-eyed and desperate. You can't take him, I said from the doorway. He's all I have left, she whirled on me. They're taking everything, my accounts, my passport, my reputation. I won't let them take him too. You took him from yourself, I replied quietly. Every time you chose everything else over him. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Mom? Jude stood in the doorway, Van right behind him. What are you doing? We're leaving, she reached for him. Just you and me, baby, like it should have been. No, his voice was firm. I'm staying with Aunt Noelle. You don't mean that, she pleaded. I'm your mother. A mother wouldn't steal my future, he said. A mother wouldn't try to kidnap me. A mother would protect me, like Aunt Noelle does. The police burst in, but Ingrid barely seemed to notice as they cuffed her. I did it all for you, she cried. Everything was for you. No, Jude's voice cracked. Everything was for you. It was always for you. As they led her away, she locked eyes with me. You think this is your happy ending? You think you've won? This isn't about winning, I said. It's about protecting him, something you never understood. That evening, our house was full of people. Van, Tamara, even Anton came by. Jude sat at the kitchen counter, pushing pasta around his plate. Hey, I sat beside him. Want to talk about it? Is she going to jail? Probably, but that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. He nodded slowly. Can I ask you something? Anything. Can I call you Mom? His voice was barely a whisper. Not because she's going away, but because you're the one who acts like one. The room went quiet. I pulled him into a hug, feeling tears stream down my face. I'd be honored, I managed. Group hug, Tamara announced, wrapping her arms around us both. Van and Anton joined in, making Jude laugh for the first time that day. Later, after everyone had gone home and Jude was in bed, I found a drawing on the kitchen counter. It showed two figures, one tall, one small, surrounded by hearts. At the bottom, in his careful handwriting, to Mom, Aunt Noelle, love Jude. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Ingrid, somehow still reaching out. You may have won this round, but karma comes for everyone. I smiled, thinking of her words from what felt like a lifetime ago about chaos coming back around. She was right about karma, but wrong about everything else. Sometimes karma looks like justice. Sometimes it looks like a little boy finally finding his real home. I typed back one message before blocking the number. You're right. Karma does come for everyone. It came for you in handcuffs. It came for me in crayon drawings and bedtime stories. Guess we both got exactly what we deserved. Looking around my kitchen, at the homework spread across the table, the artwork on the fridge, the photos of Jude and me with our chosen family, I finally felt complete. The chaos had come full circle, but instead of drowning in it, we'd built something beautiful from its ashes. Mom? Jude called from upstairs. Can you check for monsters? Coming, buddy. I headed up the stairs, each step feeling like coming home. Some battles end with handcuffs and sirens, others end with crayon drawings and monster checks. But the best endings? They're not really endings at all. They're just better beginnings in disguise.